Welcome once again to Hopped Up Gaming East, and we're on episode 8, I guess. I'm going to stop announcing the episodes soon because it doesn't really make much difference. As usual, I'm your host. I'm Dylan. I'm here with you.
And Ben's back this week.
And Matthew's here.
And Josh.
So this week, we're going to switch things up a bit. As most of you will know, the year is coming to a close, and as is appropriate, we're going to do our own kind of Game of the Year rundown. It's actually going to be something of a whittling session where we take a whole big lump sum of different games and try and chisel away the ones that we don't really agree with until there's maybe 10 of them, I guess, is what we're going for. And then we're going to figure that out next week and come up with our main game of the year as far as Hopped Up Gaming East is concerned.
Preseason.
So unfortunately, also because none of us really played it together, we're going to talk about Monaco another week once we have time to get together and enjoy that a little bit more. And we're going to kind of skip our own personal gaming for now, unless it has something to do with the games in question here, of course. As usual, we are going to be drinking some beer, and as this is a somewhat special occasion, we are diving back into Alexander Keith's. This is a special...
It's part of their hop series.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is seasonal or what this kind of promotion is. So this is Alexander Keith's Cascade Hop. That's the French side. I'm not familiar with that. The Cascade Hop, hailing from the Pacific Northwest, was named for the Cascade Mountain Range and is the result of a union between a Russian breed of hops and an English Fuggle hop. It imparts a fresh, this is where it gets bold, a fresh, mildly citrus flavor to Alexander Keith's Cascade Hop Ale. That's what we're drinking here with you tonight. Was there anything else on that box?
Even though I generally dislike the taste of hops, this one wasn't that bad and didn't leave the terrible aftertaste.
Yeah, it's really sweet beer.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very
Quite good.
sweet. You
I'm
threw
a
this strip of paper at me, but I think you just read the exact same
Was that
thing.
the same thing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's find
whatever.
Alexander Keith's Hop Sale. Something.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I would
It's
probably
fine.
drink
It's
it
got
again
hops.
if I had to.
Yeah.
If you had to.
If Josh was stuck in some foreign country strapped to a torture table.
And
You
they,
would
have
had,
a
ask
couple of
for the
these out,
Cascade
yeah.
hops.
and they had some beers laid out, and
He
I
would
had to drink
partake.
one.
Very
That's
good.
the one.
That's the one.
High praise from Josh.
So I mean, this will probably go over the usual time limit, but that's fine. We will just hop right into it, I guess. Actually, Ben, you've got a pretty sizable list, so maybe we'll start with yours and then sort of do around the circle a little bit.
Yeah, so I
After
guess
that.
we'll just sort of feel this one out. So, I don't know. I wrote mine chronologically.
Okay.
So, I don't know if we just want to, I'll throw one out there and we want to chat about that specific game for a
Sure.
few minutes or
Yeah.
just... so the first one I have on here is from January was DMC, Devil May Cry, the Devil May Cry reboot.
Cool.
So, I don't know. I have way more than 10 on my list, so I guess I'm going to have to X some of my own
Yeah,
games.
we're going to get down
I
quite
don't-
a bit here.
Maybe we should ask who's played when a game has been announced. Like, Devil
Yeah.
May Cry.
Yeah.
Who's played it?
I
I
played.
I
played-
have.
The demo.
You played the demo.
I played
It was
3 or
a
4
pretty
hours
fun
of it.
demo.
Yeah.
What was the demo? Where it was
don't know.
You're in
just
this-
like,
just in the
oh,
city
it's in the
streets.
city, and then
Yeah.
you have to take out the cameras
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
No,
beginning of the game, I'm pretty sure, isn't it? When you wake up in your trailer.
oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, but yeah,
It's early on there. I think it's like the third level or so. But
I know I like those kind of games with the heavy into comboing.
yeah.
Character
It
action
took a
game.
lot of flack from like the previous fans, I guess. But I don't know. I was a big fan of Devil May Cry all the way through, and I really liked it. I thought it was pretty much the best you could hope for.
I think
As far as a reboot goes.
I think it's an excellent little game that stands on its own, even without all this legacy attached to it.
That was the whole point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a reboot, but more of like a refresher.
Reimagining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's made by Team Ninja, who
No, Ninja Theory.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
My apologies.
Team Ninja.
Big difference.
Team Ninja is that other group that I don't care for.
Yeah.
Do they do Other M? Is that Team Ninja?
Yeah, they
Ninja
do
did
Dead or
Other
Alive
M
stuff.
and Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, sure.
Ninja
Dead
Theory.
or Alive.
Ninja Theory has a special place in my heart because of like their excellence in. They do really good storytelling and they do really amazing visual work.
Right.
Chief amongst those is like their motion capturing.
Yo, for sure.
And their sense of like art and art direction. Like if you watch Enslaved, or if you play Enslaved, it is a gorgeous
Well, yeah,
game.
Andy Serkis was involved with them for a long time. He was in their first one, Heavenly Sword, and again in
Was
in,
Enslaved?
Enslaved.
Oh, yeah, I guess they are the same people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enslaved was 3 or 4 years ago now, isn't it?
At least
Yeah,
3, I
something like
think.
that.
Yeah,
It's probably 3-ish.
Yeah.
That is a
might be 2011.
maybe. It's older for sure. Well,
Devil May Cry came with a lot of cool,
older.
not necessarily. Actually, I don't know. There's a lot of social commentary in the game, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was part of the game I didn't really care for.
Right,
It was like there was a Mountain Dew that's pretty on the nose,
Right.
and
Well, it's more.
I mean, I guess
it's commentary on capitalism and like
Yeah.
North American.
for sure. And I guess
Life.
like for the audience that is really they're kind of going for with that game, then they don't really need a highfalutin political commentary. It's pretty unsubtle.
Yeah.
So like it kind of makes sense with the whole picture of that kind of game. So it still worked.
I think Devil May Cry. I mean, just looking at my list, I know for sure there's not a whole lot of straightforward action games on here. So I'd be happy with hanging on to that one for now.
Yeah, for me, for that category, it's either that one or a little bit farther down. I've got Metal Gear Rising:
Right,
Revengeance.
okay.
So like, we can put one of those on as
Sure.
a straight up action game.
I also played the demo for that one.
Yeah,
Demo Josh.
Yeah.
I liked being able to cut everything up.
yeah. Matt, you already said that you didn't play Revengeance. Dylan, you haven't played it either, have you?
I played a bit more than the demo was worth. I played maybe 2 hours of it.
Damn.
I intend to play it, but
Yeah.
I
But I
just
mean,
have
yeah,
to
if we
wait
move
for
it forward, this is something we can look into as well.
Yeah.
later.
So, I guess we can ask them later. But I guess I'm good for. I'd like to include DMC for now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's an
Cool.
excellent game, worth merit.
Right on.
What else is on your list?
Then, well, do we want to do mine?
Or do we want to go around?
We can
and
hop
start?
around a bit if you want, I guess.
Well,
just to
yeah, I guess.
just to mix up the voices.
Sure,
It doesn't
let's do
really
that.
matter. We're all talking.
I can go next.
Sure.
This is something I think everyone's played. BioShock Infinite.
Sure.
That is a first-person shooter made by Irrational Games, part of the big BioShock series, known best for their surprising storytelling, I guess. There's lots of shocks and twists in the original BioShock.
Shots.
Shocks both literally
Yeah.
and in a, I guess, metaphorical sense too.
Now, were they responsible for System Shock as well, or was that an older
That's-
developer?
That's
No,
no,
that's
that's,
not-
them.
Is
Yep.
it them?
Yeah. Well, System Shock 2 anyway. I don't
System
know about the
Shock
first
2,
one.
yeah. System Shock 2 is fucked up. But we can talk
Yeah.
about that another time. That did not come out this year. So.
No, that didn't. Well, actually, the re-release
Right.
of it did.
That doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
We can't delve into
Yeah.
re-releases. No.
Hotline Miami every year.
No,
There
stop
you
it.
There you go. Street Fighter 2 every year.
Well, for real, yeah. Let's keep it going there, Stones. BioShock.
Oh, so BioShock Infinite is it's one of those games. If somebody asked me what's a good game to play this year, I would say that is probably an easy one to sell people on because it has a lot it wants to talk about. Makes good on a lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
and for the average person, it kind of has pretty accessible gameplay. It's a shooter. It's a pretty easy to understand shooter. Elizabeth, who's not at all familiar with shooter games, was able to play through that with relative ease. Obviously, some learning with like the perspective and all that, but yeah, it's a pretty special game.
Yeah, I very
Very
much
good.
enjoyed it, and especially as first-person shooters go for this year, it's way up in that category. So I'm all for including that.
Absolutely. Especially since this delivers on, like you said, so many different promises story-wise. And I mean, has it been out long enough for us to spoil?
Sure. I mean, who cares?
You have the idea of parallel universes has been done before, but I think this, in a video game sense, some people panned it for being a mistake, having kind of the resolution be that this is meaningless in quotes, in that there are so many.
What?
Yeah, I read I read a lot of forums where people complained that everything you did didn't actually matter because of all the possible outcomes.
To
But
me, we're going to get a huge like metaphysical
Yeah.
argument here, but that's just because they don't understand the theory.
yeah,
But
Well, wait, maybe it would be important for us to all go around and say what we think BioShock Infinite's about. What it,
we're going to
well,
be
like
way...
we're talking about the ending. Like you're talking about, it's about metaphysical stuff. It's
Yeah.
about the nature of how nothing matters.
Well, to me, it's the exact opposite, and that's why I have issues with people bringing that up. To bring it down to a more casual light, I liken it to Back to the Future in that sort of time travel story. Whereas You literally have things fading in and out depending on what happens on different paths along these different tangents. And at the end, you kind of get a lot of that all at once explained to you. And maybe that's where people kind of lost focus and weren't able to keep track
Yeah,
of what was
but-
happening anymore. But
If we're saying this is different realities, that's like different than different points in time on the same timeline.
Sort of, but except for how they resolve it.
yeah,
They go end up going back in time to try and cut off an entire branch of the tree. I guess.
correct.
So that's where people get a little messed up.
And I think another problem with BioShock is that the character, like a lot of people genuinely did not know that, what was his name, Comstock?
Yep.
Yeah,
A lot of people did not understand that him and Booker are the same guy.
I think
Really?
Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of just
It pretty
comes
much
out
really
and
says
says
It
Yeah.
gives it to you, but a lot of people were still confused.
But
I
I do think that, and this is kind of a tricky topic for me. I think that
I know. I'm face palming too.
Yeah, I think that game does suffer a bit. The casual gamer who's not looking for the audio logs,
Yeah.
is not going to know what the fuck is going
There's
on.
not. That's again.
And
there's
that-
not much build up before that last half hour, right?
And so
Well,
Did you pick up
I
collectibles and stuff?
disagree. Well, what you're talking about is the text of the story, like the actual like beats of this happens, then this happens, then this happens. But like the actual messages and themes it's engaging with are foreshadowed all the way through.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the nature of man and the nature of femininity as is
Right.
dictated by man.
And you
Like,
get a lot of preluding with the twins as well, if you're looking for that sort of thing. If you're ready for it, I guess. But again, depending on what you're looking for in the game,
Did you collect the audio logs?
like as many as I
got
came
like
across.
80% of them, yeah.
I didn't go hunting, but
Because like if you're talking about BioShock Infinite as being better with the audio logs, this is talking back again to ODST.
yeah, there's a certain amount of you're meaning to say that ODST suffers story wise because it hides a good chunk of it, probably a really important part of it behind these
collectibles.
telephones
Yeah.
and bank machines, whatever you got to go find.
Which is a really good part of that story.
yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
think they're as connected as these are.
No?
It's more so that's one family's struggle on Earth in the future that we don't necessarily. It doesn't tie towards what you're doing there at all, other
Yeah.
than the fact that you're protecting humanity.
Well, and that all happened in this place where you are.
yeah, but we're talking like
This stuff that's
the
So
audio,
it's
the audio
not-
logs in Infinite explain how Columbia flies
Yeah.
and like how the Lutece twins aren't twins; they're
Yeah.
the same
So
person.
it-
But
and
why is that
how-
important?
It's
Because
not
a lot of the critiques that I see of the story were like, the story made no sense. How
Yeah.
the fuck did this old guy make a flying city?
Yeah, yeah.
He
It doesn't
didn't.
matter.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying though. Is like,
Oh, I know what you're saying, but like,
And this
I
is-
guess I'm saying to
Yes,
the
I-
internet people,
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
gives a
keep in mind
shit?
again that this is not our opinion, and that
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
understood the
yeah.
game pretty fully and
Yeah.
enjoyed what was there with the collectibles and the fact that they did contribute to your knowledge of what was going on. But if you go into it just, and maybe this is what I would like to get down to in the end, is that if you play it on its own, absolutely on its own, just as a shooter, I mean, that's only one facet of the game, really, but that's...
and unfortunately, and this is my opinion, it's kind of a weak shooter.
Yes,
I
it
don't
is.
know if everyone agrees, but
No,
it's
I would agree.
it's
it's not
mechanically
that
kind of
hard.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't play it on 1999 mode.
No,
but
but
I
still.
played it on hard mode.
Yeah.
And it was a cakewalk.
Yeah, yeah. And not only that,
Yeah.
I find, and I mean, we were talking about it earlier, it may be different if I went back and played the first one, but I found Bioshock Infinite not to be clunky, but almost, I'm struggling for an adjective here.
stale.
I
kind
like-
of
It did get a little bit repetitive, but maybe stiff is a good word for it. Like it felt
old.
Everything was very beautiful and fluid, like during those semi-cut scenes with you and Elizabeth going between things, and then you jut into these combat scenarios, and it's kind of just like weird blocky segments in between the more fluid adventure segments, and that's where my issues are.
The flow doesn't go
Yeah, it's not a
nicely
single
Right.
flow.
Yeah.
from
There's,
cutscene to combat.
My favorite parts of that game were mechanically. My favorite parts of it were the sky rail or
Yeah.
whatever
Okay.
they're called.
Skylines, maybe, or
Skylines,
something.
that's it.
Yeah,
Just because those offered something a lot different
yeah.
than what I was used to, especially just in shooters. Like it was different, obviously, than what was going on in Bioshock, but different in shooters altogether. And I feel that those are I don't know what we're settling on, but at least stale, at least stiff
Right.
moments.
And they did push that in the I remember seeing those in the initial footage
yeah.
and thinking like that looks fucked.
That looks nuts. How are
Yeah.
they going to make a game
Yeah.
out of that?
How's-
And then, as
and
it turns out, they just make a
they
game
did-
with like
yeah.
those in very tiny
3
sections.
Yeah.
rooms that had sky rails.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
pretty much it.
Now, just to backtrack a bit, what we're getting into is more of a top 10 discussion.
Yeah.
And I think,
I think it's-
from the
this makes
consensus,
it.
I think
Yes.
Bioshock goes forward.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right. Yeah. So we're trying. Let's put that on the list,
Yeah.
I guess. in
So
the end.
hang on to Bioshock.
So, yeah, so right now we've got what? DMC as a maybe.
I say put DMC
I
on there.
said push it forward. It's a
Give-
good action
you know
game
what?
for now.
I would, well, I guess because nobody else has played it to argue with me. I don't know if I include, if we're going to put it one action hack and slash, I don't know if it's
Right.
DMC
but
or
for
Revenge.
now, it's definitely not an immediate dump, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
no, definitely.
Yeah.
I will just put this out there just to get it in everyone's head. I think if the conversation eventually comes around to is it Devil May Cry or is it Revengeance?
We might have to wait till next week because nobody else has played it.
Well, I'm going to say this. Devil May Cry in a storytelling department is a lot more...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is a lot more competent than I haven't played Revengeance, so I can't speak to it directly.
No, you've
But
got a good
history
assessment,
is
I think.
History dictates that Kojima and his team of people struggle to make something
Yes,
that
it's
is not
cohesive.
kind of tinfoil hat,
Take-
conspiracy,
Take, like, the
conspiracy
wackiness,
indulgent.
the wackiness of, like, Bayonetta plus Kojima.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
You've got
like,
an
a little
interesting-
bit of the Devil May Cry attitude.
Yeah.
Attitude, I think, is
All
what
into
you mean.
one
there you go.
thing.
Like that.
And it was the story is very nonsensical, but the mechanically in like action adventures, hack and slash, not really action adventure, I guess, hack and slash action game is pretty solid.
I would, yeah.
When you say Bayonetta, I kind of lose.
Turned on. Oh, lose. I meant like tuned in, not tuned
No, lose interest in game.
No, I never got into Bay. I played the demo for that. Was it? No,
Right.
definitely not.
It's Bayonetta is my break in case of emergency.
Yeah.
I think it's sitting on my shelf, still sealed, and it's like if I ever get into a real dry spell of games or I lose
Dry
hope,
spell.
I'll
This is
just
difficult
I'll
ground
go,
around.
I'll just go crack it open. And
Now,
play
correct
it.
me if I'm wrong. There are breasts in that game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just- I wasn't
She
sure.
wears
few.
a suit made out of her hair, but her hair is also her weapon. So the more
Okay.
powerful attacks you use, the more naked she is.
I was gonna say if
That
I had
seems
never.
weird.
That sounds
Yep.
disgusting. But the fact I know what the character looks like, and I know that it is like looks like clothing. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, maybe the layman pictures a giant female yeti unfurling in combat, loosing
I'll
its
find
hair
out
all
when
over.
there's no more games to play. I'll get back to you then.
All right.
Bioshock,
So,
yay!
Yeah.
Bioshock is in.
And think about Devil May Cry. Just think about it.
Yeah,
Let
there we
that
go.
let that seed.
Oh, I'm definitely not cutting it now. I just
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm just saying.
which of those
Maybe
will-
think about cutting Metal Gear early. Anyway, Josh, would you like to tell us about a game?
I'm going to talk about handheld games.
Cool.
Uh-oh.
Most importantly, the
Legend
Legends
of
of Zelda,
Yeah.
The Link Between Worlds. Because
What about
I'm really pumped about that game, and it's pretty much top of my list for Legend of Zelda games.
Yeah, straight up. And I mean, it's not that I dislike Nintendo. I just don't like how lazy they are. And to contrast that, I love this game. And I think it's the best Zelda game in the past. At least, when did Twilight Princess suck too? It's the best Zelda game since Wind Waker, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In that it feels challenging. They don't hold your hand, which is awesome. The world is exciting. It's just funny because it's the exact same map as Link to the Past.
Which
See, this
adds
is
to
what
the
I was gonna
excitement for me.
ask you, because like Zelda's way out of my league.
Yeah.
Never played one. But from what I've what is the deal in like 2 sentences or less? Is this a remake, new spin of Link to the Is it they just use the same map? Is it like a
Well, it takes place-
what is the?
Okay, so it takes place in Hyrule, same land. It's just that this is meant to harken back to those 16-bit eras,
Right,
and that's
so
why it's
it has
the
nothing
same.
to do with the story. To
Correct.
that at all. They just wanted to hit
Yeah.
that nostalgia bone.
Yes,
But-
exactly. So it's the same map, and the fact that it's in the same parameters that the game would have been on Game Boy and Super Nintendo or regular NES. That's why the
NES.
map is the exact same in quotes. And then your Dark World, I guess, is probably slightly different because it's different. It's not future and past. It's like literally a different kingdom, like a
Right.
flipped dimension. But
No, but in the original there was a Light World, Dark World.
oh yeah, I guess there was. Anyway, it's a tangentially, it's a different game. It's on the timeline somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like by doing it like that, then that's still a little bit lazy. They just, I mean, I guess they.
Yep, and I mean that's not what I like about
But-
the game though. My favorite aspects about the game are mechanical, mainly in the
they
way
had
that,
to completely redesign the whole thing.
yeah.
Oh
Because
yeah.
the original 2D face down, this was 3D. Looked great. Looked great in 3D.
That's another thing. This is the only thing that I've ever experienced that I prefer having 3D on.
Yeah.
It actually makes the game easier to play because a lot of your dungeons work in 3 dimensions, so you'll be dropping from floors to a lower floor and stuff like that.
Like,
It's
this
actually
is-
easier to assess what you need to do
If
with
you
the
can-
3D turned
yeah,
on.
yeah.
This is the first game I've actually left 3D on.
for as long as my head will allow, because
Yeah.
it still is tough. Every time you move you have to really
You have to
straight
be,
chair, sit up, and like neck brace to make sure that you've got
Good
yourself in a
chair, good
consistent position.
posture, sit, look straight at exactly.
Game is awesome. Music is beyond top notch. They've revamped all of the older musical
Zelda music gives me a big
lines.
boner.
Yeah, the music is fantastic. Again, I have issues with the more you get into the game. Sorry, spoiler. Ganon's still the bad guy. But,
Oh God, no!
Oh yeah.
Well,
and in
Even
that,
I know that. I've
in
never
that,
played.
in that same like it's still like a central theme, and I guess it's like it might be tough to move away from that, but I still like there was parts like you're the guy that you fight against at first. His name is Yuga, and he's trying to capture the 7 sages in these paintings, and that's where your little like Egyptian hieroglyph form comes in, and it's not gimmicky at all. You use it for everything, which is awesome. And I thought that was great. And then like, oh, by the way, this guy's using these 7 sages to summon Ganon and fuse with Ganon, and now it's Ganon again. Granted, I haven't finished the game, but I mean, like, it's still.
It's still Ganon,
Yeah.
guys.
And I mean, in that sense, it was like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and then from that point, it was like, oh, that's not as good as I was hoping. But the game is still fantastic, and the
There
main,
must be a twist because Josh is over there.
I mean,
He's
if
by
still pointing
next-
his finger.
Yeah.
by next week, please finish the game.
yeah, I will.
Oh, okay? Wait, can I make just a bold prediction here, real quick?
Sure.
Ganon's not the final villain.
I think
It is perhaps something that sets up the nature.
Can I just-
the
'cause-
world of the Majora's Mask?
like I've prefixed with, well, the funny thing is that Majora's Mask is hanging on the wall in your house, which I don't
I
know.
love that.
I don't know if that's intent. Like, I mean,
If that
it's
means
hard to say
anything.
where that fits on the timeline. People are so scrutinous with that. I don't really care.
Who cares about the
But
Everyone is hoping that means they're going to remake Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
and I can only hope.
that'd be cool.
That's the best.
But
Zelda game.
so the idea is that you're in Hyrule. This dark world is called Low Rule. We've talked about it before. I haven't beaten the game,
Which I
so any
thought-
of my speculations is fine because it doesn't matter if it ends up being a spoiler because I don't know. So the princess in Low Rule is called Hilda, and every so often there's a cutscene where she's like talking to the painting of Zelda very enviously. And from the get go, she has red eyes and stuff, so like obviously I don't really trust her.
What are you saying about albinos?
So when there's those scenes with her talking to Zelda, I think she has ulterior motives. However that turns out, I'm not sure. But as of now, I love the game. And the
I
biggest,
really liked that it was low roll. and
yeah, that's
high
funny.
roll.
Yes.
The biggest thing that is nice is that in all the other Zelda games, you would like do a temple and then acquire a tool that would help you beat the next temple. It was very linear in that sense. You needed a progression to work through the game. In this game, your house is taken over by a stupid rabbit that uses it as a shop, and you can rent items from him
Stupid
for like a relatively low price.
I think it's illegal to squat on people's property
Yeah,
and
well,
open
no,
a business on it too.
you let him in.
Yeah,
Oh, you let him in?
You let him
Oh.
stay there, and then you go and do stuff, and come back, and his shop is set up.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, you can stay in my house,
So
and then
there's
the
that
next
dirtbag roommate.
the
that-
next time you come back,
stuff.
his sign is over your roof, and he has shop set up.
So, like I said, mechanically, this means that you can rent items however you want. So you can technically have all the items on you at once, but if you die, he takes them all back, and you have to re-rent them. But
then
it's nice
later-
because you don't have to wait. If you see stuff like something that you need the hook shot to get to, just go back to your house or his shop and get the hook shot. You don't need to wait till you get to the right temple and try and keep track of where all this stuff was. So that's really cool.
And then it's nice because you can later buy them from him, and
Yeah.
you don't lose them when you die.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And
It's,
then-
it's very it takes a lot of obstacles out of the way you move through the game because as of now the dungeons that I have access to are all over the map and I can go to any one of them as long as I have the tools to get there, which is cool.
And as an added bonus, you find this squid monster in a cave somewhere,
Yeah.
and you find her little babies, and she upgrades the weapons you bought.
Yeah, so I mean technically I guess the only thing I really don't like about the game is the fact that it's still using a lot of the same tropes that Zelda has always used, but I love playing the game so much that doesn't bother me as much as it should. But I mean, yeah, for me, it's
But is that trope just that Ganon's still the boss, you're still Link?
No, probably more like you are Link.
I
Like
just-
it's
well,
the story beats and then the mechanic.
The main
beats.
thing is that I don't like how it was almost deceptive. Like, it starts out with what seems like a new antagonist and a new kind of goal for that antagonist, and then it's still Ganon. It's
Well,
not.
That's how most Zeldas go, isn't it?
Well,
It's
that's
like-
exactly it, and I was hoping that it was going to be something a little different. And I mean, again, just to reiterate, I haven't finished the game. Have to see how it turns out, but
And
that's my
that
only
also
gripe.
kind of ties in with, well, that's a Zelda game. In Zelda game, you fight against Ganon to get the princess.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but I think a Zelda.
let's
I
stop
think
making Zelda games then. Let's
I think
make
Ze-
different games.
I think all it has
Please,
to do.
no.
I think all it has to do to be a Legend of Zelda game is to have the dungeon exploration mechanics, and I think that is what the best part of Zelda games is not that you fight Ganon or rescue Zelda. It's that you use tools in of quite a
And then-
variety of intelligent ways to solve these
And
puzzles.
then in each of the games, the puzzles are different, but it's just
They're not really though.
Yeah, I know.
some
you,
of them.
I know what you
Some
mean.
of them, they're
This
not
is
really.
this is again a conversation that we should hold for next week because
Yeah.
Zelda you can go on
Yeah.
forever. But
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned, I'll push it ahead, probably to the next round if
Alright.
it makes it. But for now, it's definitely not a toss.
Okay, Dylan.
So maybe
okay.
Dylan, you should be writing these down. and which one
Yeah.
we'll keep
So what do
in.
we have? DMC, Bio, Inf, and
Zelda.
Legend of Zelda. Indie games. Let's talk about Runner 2: The Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. I
Is
think
that
I
an
did
indie
that
game?
right.
Did
I do that right?
Runner 2?
Runner 2, the future legend
Of Rhythm Alien.
of Rhythm
Okay,
Alien.
never mind.
It is. I don't know if it's made by Gaijin Studios or whatever they are. I don't know if that's
I
independent.
don't
or
think
what.
they're a very big team.
It's
regardless.
so. I mean, this is a whole other discussion. To me, indie means not like Ubisoft, Capcom, whatever.
well, that is
That's
what
how-
it means.
that's
They
how-
don't have a publisher.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it
So
means.
this is still an indie
Well-
game in that sense.
Technically,
Jonathan
speaking,
Blow is
it's a-
being
They are a developer that receives no external funding. Is that an indie game?
no, because you get funding from a government grant or some other grant.
okay. Anyway,
Like
let's- what do you
indie's a weird thing. Let
Yeah.
that be classified at another time.
indie beta. We should have a dictionary episode where we talk about all these terms and
These are the terms.
just argue
These
with
are
each other.
We should,
Yeah.
like, not even art. We should just like, make that.
Yeah,
like
just
a-
decide what we think
a lexicon.
is. Yeah,
Absolutely.
episode that
Absolutely.
the new
Just
listeners
like
could
last-
listen
like-
to and get caught up to
yeah.
speed.
Like beta for me does not mean games still like to me. Beta is like something where like the assets are there, whatever.
Yeah.
So, Runner 2, Future Legend of Rhythm
Rhythm
Alien,
Alien.
Gaijin Studios.
Never heard of it.
So this is based out of the Bit Trip saga, I guess. Similar kind of. It takes place in the same universe as Super Meat Boy, I think.
Yeah, you
They're
said
like-
you saw them in
yeah,
the cutscene.
they're
or whatever,
part
yeah.
of the same like super troop. Anyway, this is a what's it called? A constant runner, endless runner,
Endless runner.
which means that you don't control his speed. You only control his jumping, kicking, sliding, and things like that.
Picking up the plus sign things makes them go faster.
True,
But
but
you
you don't
can't,
you don't
like,
you don't
toggle his
yeah you don't
speed,
adjust
yeah.
his acceleration or anything like
He
that.
just runs and that's
Yeah.
it.
And this is in combination with a rhythm aspect. So every time you interact with anything, whether it be gold bricks, one of those plus signs, that kind of picks up the pace and the tempo of the music, adds new elements. And every time you jump, every time you kick something, it is in time with a musical component that's playing in the background. So you play through what is essentially like a kind of cool, mellow, electronic sort of song as you're progressing through this level, kicking down barriers, sliding under stuff, getting launched off trampolines, going around loop-de-loops.
It gets pretty intense.
All kinds of cool stuff. Exceptional art design, I find. I like it. It cracks me up. Just like even watching people play it is a lot of fun. Just because it's so like lush. There's so much stuff going on in the backgrounds and the foregrounds. The things that you interact with are
I really
always
like the
flying at
whale.
you. Yeah,
There's a whale.
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like,
And there's all kinds of different aspects to the game as well. Like if you do perfect on a level, sometimes you'll have access to an 8-bit retro bonus round where you're like doing the same
you
thing,
can,
but
you
it's
can
like very
unlock those
Yeah.
by getting like a key and something else.
Yeah, they're scattered throughout levels.
Right.
They're little they look
Those
like
are hard
golden
as
game
fuck.
cartridges that you have to touch,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's like 8-bit mode, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hard as
and and the music and everything shifts, the visual shift.
Yeah.
You get access to all kinds of different characters.
Still waiting for
Each
it.
world is very differently kind of
Designed.
Yeah, and there's not even just different paint jobs. There's all kinds of different sort of things to hop over and things like that, which is cool. Overall, I think it's a great game. At full price, it's a little bit. It's like $20 or something like that. But I mean,
That was one of my free PSN ones.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. I bought it full price.
Yeah, I bought it.
I would have.
Yeah,
like,
I bought it. It's really
worth
hard on PC, but and that's where I got it for on Steam sale for $3 or something.
That's
whatever.
that game is what got me to buy the like wireless receiver for PC.
Oh yeah, it's a good game for sure. I don't actually have anything like bad to say about it.
But is it strong enough to be something you would recommend as like one of the 10 games to play this year?
Yeah,
As
that's
far
the
as,
thing.
like-
I don't think
Like,
there's
it sounds like-
I don't think it's anything else other than fun.
As far as like a PSN or XBLA game goes, like I think it's one of the
Little
top ones
arcade
of,
games.
One,
Yeah,
top one of
for
those
sure.
this year.
Yeah.
I would say.
But what more do you want in a game than fun?
Well,
Well,
that's fun is a difficult thing, and by that I mean it's literally just campy, cartoony, like giggly fun. I
There
don't know
is
how
an
else to phrase
inverse
it.
merman with a huge nutsack.
Yeah.
that
Yep.
runs around. Like
So
that is
it's a very
thing.
funny game. I just don't think like I don't like find myself thinking about it after I play it.
It sounds like there are a lot of elements shared between this and Rayman Legends.
I
Probably.
can talk about that in a little bit because that's one of the other games.
Okay.
I don't compare it to that.
You
No.
wouldn't compare it to that,
No.
especially like this rhythm-based
No.
kind of.
In that
hoppy,
sense,
jumpy
I
stuff.
would, but there's a
Like
bit
it sounds
more
like this is part the levels in Rayman that
similar
focus on
idea,
that.
the musical
Those
aspect.
sound
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Endless Runner.
Yeah,
Rayman is definitely different, though.
yeah.
Oh,
We can talk.
absolutely.
We can
It's
talk about that a little
different,
bit.
but anyway.
But I do agree, though, in the sense that you have a lot of this musical synergy. There's levels in Rayman that are quite similar, for sure.
Okay. Next game.
Ben, what do you
I
think?
guess we're back
What
to
else do we
me.
have there?
What else you got on your big old list there?
Chronologically, sort of in the same indie category here. Well, not really. Well, maybe it's indie. That's a stupid name. Small downloadable game category. I have
There
The
you go.
Cave.
We call them arcade games, us Xbox guys.
Yeah.
But the Cave,
Did you
okay.
like The Cave? Tell us what you think about The Cave.
I liked what I played of it. I didn't go through every character's story. The co-op I found was unfortunately kind of broken.
Now, who
which-
was who
sucks.
made this game? This
This
was a
is
very
Double
Ron
Fine,
Gilbert.
isn't it?
Right.
Or it's not Double Fine. It's the other guy from.
No, it's Double
Is it
Fine,
Double Fine?
I believe.
I think just from what I've read and what
I
I've
don't know what
seen of the game,
It's
I've,
not
I've-
Tim Schafer.
No, it's Ron Gilbert,
but
who's the creative lead on it, but I can't remember if he used
Right.
Double Fine people to build it or if he had another crew do it.
Yeah,
But in any
a
case,
very
it's a Ron
much
Gilbert joint.
yeah, very much a Double Fine esque.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull a
Is this-
Josh here. I played the demo, and I've just done reading. I haven't played the full
Yeah.
game. And what I found just from that, the general opinion seems to be that it was very overhyped, just because it has that.
Has that legacy
Yeah.
behind it. Yeah.
Well, again, I played the demo because Dylan told me I really should, and I didn't really enjoy the demo.
No,
Well, okay, Ben, then it sounds like we're going to have to talk about this. So, you played it and finished it, right?
I finished it.
Like you
Twice, I
like so you
think.
got like 6 characters or something?
I think so. I definitely didn't get all of them, but I got a fair. I think I might have had a little bit of overlap because I played the second time with my girlfriend, and she really wanted to see so and
See it.
so.
Okay,
yeah.
so I guess we should set it up. The Cave is a game in which you choose 3 of 7 characters and go on a journey of self-examination, which is just you go through the game and solve a bunch of puzzles in a side-scrolling platform
Yeah,
kind of framework.
It's very much kind of reminded me of Lost Vikings. Sort of.
Sure.
The characters don't have. Well, I guess they do have specific abilities that you need to use to solve, but most of their specific abilities are only really applicable to
In their specific
area.
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the framing device is that there's a cave that narrates like the journey that they're all going on,
Yeah.
and then at certain points in the game, there's a specific story moment attached to each character you've taken with you. And those. So okay, let me get this.
Yeah,
let me get this out there. I don't really like the cave. I think the cave. There is a way to take the cave and make it a very interesting game. And in fact, I'm thinking about putting together a piece that is like the cave, but a more successful execution. 'Cause
Okay.
in my opinion, the cave would be a much more successful game if it was just an anthology of stories about these characters,
playing with one at a time. You mean?
one at a time,
Okay.
and cut out all that middling, like between these specific scenario stuff. Because that's the stuff, especially upon repeat play, you
That
have to
gets
do.
annoying.
It gets annoying. It's
Like
tedious.
the island or whatever. With
The island where you got to go back and forth like 5 times, and the game expects you in a way to play through it
Well, you
3
need-
times to
yeah.
see all 7 characters. And I did it once with Elizabeth, and I said, "We're not playing that again. We're going to look up on the internet what the rest of the stuff was."
Yeah.
Because
I don't know. I agree because it's specifically set up to force you to play it 3 times to see everything, and it does have those large,
large chunks
not
of not-
specific related to
Yeah.
a character sections. Then it does make, especially rapid repeat plays, would definitely make that more annoying. If you played it like once every 3 months, that might not be such a big deal. But like, who has time to do that? So
Well, even who has interest. I think the big conceit of the game is that it's an examination of the 7 deadly sins. Like, each character is very obviously the personification of one of them. And the story sections that are interesting are only about 5 minutes long.
Okay.
But the game
I think
takes
it might be a
3
little
minutes.
bit. It might
the
be a
game
little
takes 3
longer
hours.
than that.
Well, it's the slide cards, right?
What?
Like the story,
There's a
the story
whole-
moments are just like, here's the card A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Well, there's
and
the
that's
whole
story.
there's the whole like area that is that character though that sort of expands upon their.
Well, I mean,
their-
if you know the solution or you can figure it out quickly, it takes you like 5 minutes. It's
So-
not that long.
yeah, but I mean, like, there's more to each character than just those collectible still frames that you flick
Well,
through.
Okay, let
Like-
me correct my position then. The only thing that's interesting about it is those story moments for those characters.
Yeah,
which are
I
those
totally
sections.
agree. Only the character unique sections, and yeah, the little slideshow that you can make by collecting all of their
So,
cards
on
are
that
by
note-
far the most interesting point.
On that note, would either of you be willing to defend this game on those
Absolutely
merits
not.
in the next round?
Absolutely not.
um,
If that game was just those sections and you picked one at the
And
start
it
of
was
the game,
and it was $1.50.
well, I don't care about price. It's
No.
just there's too much
yeah,
fat that needs to be cut from that game.
I agree. I think that the character moments themselves are really interesting, but overall, as a game, it's definitely more in the honorable mention category than must play.
Nobody just knocked at the door. Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, what you said.
Sure. So that's going in
So
the
we're
dump.
gonna pass on the cave.
Pass on the cave. We'll just walk past it. I guess it's back to me then. I'll throw a game out there. Let's see what's one nobody else can pick here. Fire Emblem Awakening.
Okay.
Anyone else play that on the
3DS?
The 3DSs.
I have not.
You have not?
I
Ben?
have
Sell
heard
us.
on the internet that people were mad this wasn't on more Game of the Year lists, but that's all that I know about it.
Okay, and Josh?
I had looked at buying it a few times.
Oh, so I'm the only one that played it. Okay.
Yes.
Well, okay, so Fire Emblem Awakening is part of a big series of games called Fire Emblem,
Yep.
and they are role-playing strategy games. So if you've ever played XCOM, thank you, Dylan.
More XCOM or more Final Fantasy
Tactics.
Tactics?
It's XCOM
Although I guess
is a cover-based strategy game,
Mm-hmm.
and Tactics is a magic-based game. So I guess a magic-based strategy game, I should say. I guess it would be more in line with that, but it's not so. Actually, no. There's magic and like crazy stuff like that. Yeah, okay. It's more like Final Fantasy Tactics, except there's it's a faster moving game.
That's good.
Yeah, and here's the best part. So, unlike XCOM, where all your soldiers and units are just these meat puppets that you attribute story to based
Hey
on their
now.
actions.
Hey now. Those are all my high school friends,
Yeah,
man.
they're very important to me.
yeah.
Matt Speckert version 3.0
Yeah.
virus free or whatever it was. Yeah.
With Fire Emblem, they actually have written characters for every
Okay.
unit, and every single character you get, or every single unit you get, is a unique person with a unique story. And the more you use them,
Better
and
they get, etc.
better they get, but the more story is revealed.
Oh,
from
that's
them.
cool.
I like
Because the way story is doled out is that there's relationships built between the characters. So if you use characters next to each other or in pairs, like you pair them up, the relationship grows between them, which doles out more story that's unique between them. So you don't want your characters to die because you don't get any more story with them because they're obviously dead. You learn to care about them. You want to cherish them. You want to foster them. There's
So-
amazing interplay between the strategy portion of the game and then the role playing part of the game that is outside battle.
So you have
Does it like generate story based on which
all
combinations you
written.
make, or it's all
There's a
written?
lot.
But like, is it
so
like
like
so? If it would the same sort of story be revealed
If you haven't discovered X
if Ben
about-
fights next to Lisa
Yeah.
for 10 missions, or if Ben fought next to Samantha for 10 missions, like, does the same story beats happen with them, or is there like a whole bunch
It's-
of pre-existing?
There's a whole bunch of pre-existing stories for the relationships between each pairing of possible
Okay.
characters. So
That
Now,
is
my-
cool.
it's really cool. I will say this: like, don't expect novels worth of story.
right.
Like, it's going to be like maybe a paragraph or two every like step of the way, and there's like 5 or 6 steps to the stories. but it is unique for each pairing of characters. So there's a lot there.
So would you,
So-
most importantly, would you recommend this to people who own 3DSs?
It's absolutely one of those
Cool.
games that you should be playing if you have a 3DS.
Hang on to it
Well,
then.
The only thing I would say that might turn people off is that it is
It's a strategy RPG. It's pretty heavy.
well, it's not even. No,
Well,
it's,
like-
it's rather easy. It's the look of it. It's not anime. It's when I use the word anime, that invokes an immediate visual in people's head. It's like the big eyes and the
Yeah, but
Yeah,
when you
the-
look at it,
the
do you
mushroom
say
puff or
that's
whatever.
Japanese?
it.
Is it
Or
kind of like Final
Americanese.
Fantasy Tactics?
It is, but it's much more reined in kind of design. Like you don't have the big
It has the,
dome
like,
and spiky.
It has
like,
the
cloud hair.
Fire Emblem style.
So you would
Yeah.
recommend this though?
I would recommend it.
I'll look at it for
Cool.
next week.
Yeah, look at it. It's a really great game.
See if
I've
there's a
put lot of
demo.
time. There is a demo. It's pretty alright.
Good lord, we need to play more
We should play
games.
some real games.
I was gonna say.
I'll probably
This is the
buy it.
Demo cast.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Fire Emblem Awakening. I
cool.
like it.
Let's hang on to it.
All right. Josh.
I'm gonna now talk about Tomb Raider.
Tomb
Cool.
Raider.
Yeah. I had never really played any other Tomb Raiders, so I don't know if the story is supposed to be.
There's no
It's
story.
a reboot, total reboot.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all new.
Even if it was a sequel, it wouldn't matter. Like
Not really,
who's ever
yeah.
followed Tomb Raider for its cohesive narrative?
I'm not gonna
This
say
guy.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I started playing it. I didn't sleep that night and finished the whole thing.
Oh wow.
Like it
interesting.
really,
Yeah, I think it took me 2 days or something.
Yeah,
I
it-
played it really quick too.
it really took me into it,
Mhm.
and so I just hammered through it. Got some of the secret places, and I thought it worked. I thought the mechanics worked pretty good, and the bow,
bow was nice.
Good lord, bows and arrows last year.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my favorite part of the game were those offbeat tombs that you found.
Yeah,
those two
they
were
were
the best
fun.
part of the game. I
Like,
didn't care
fun.
for the story. I found it was too the pacing was too up and down. It didn't have a consistent ascension and then climax for me. It was like, oh, something bad happened, and then you relax for an hour and a half, and then something else bad happens. And
Well, you gotta have peaks and valleys. It's,
Yeah.
it was
pacing.
every time though for me. It was like do a little bit of exploration and then have a key character development moment, like hard in your face. And to me, that's not their fault. Like if I had played through the game without going off and trying to find stuff, like it would have had a little bit better.
I
of a-
felt
Yeah.
I went off and found stuff. I probably just played it all at once in one compact
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
space, so I didn't really notice that
Yeah.
as much.
It probably took me. It was probably 20 hours or so altogether of playing for me because I wanted to go around and see whatever. Because the island is cool. There was cool stuff to find, and I can't remember. I don't remember when I played Far Cry, but to me, it was too much of that same. Like I mean, a bow is a cool weapon, but I was at that point I was a little bit tired of seeing it, and I don't know. It's probably just me. 'cause
I
it was-
think that's your fault.
Yeah.
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 No, it's it's just my experience.
Yeah.
Also, another experience I had with that game, I turned the PhysX hair on,
Oh god.
and my computer.
Tress effects.
Tress effects.
Yeah, my computer cried,
Yeah.
literally.
I had an AMD card in my computer for a while there before I got my 770.
Right.
So I had access to the Tress effects onboard computing stuff.
Yeah.
So I looked at that for a little bit. I think it looks terrible.
Yeah. It's not worth the tax on your.
Well, it's not. Well, if you have an AMD card, it's not too much more tax. It's less than what Nvidia's cards would have to brute force. But it's just the quality of it is just really weird. It
Yeah.
clips through her neck a lot. I
Yeah.
see on the tech demo, and or at least the tech demo when I ran it.
I know when I saw it running at 0.5 frames a second, it was definitely clipping into her neck.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing about the Tress effects stuff is that on the I guess there's little video. I haven't played the game yet, but I've seen a little bit of video footage of it. There's a sequence where she's looking at a video camera
Right.
of something that happened earlier in the
Yeah.
story.
They do that a lot.
Even if you have Tress effects on, the hair in the video clip is the ponytail without the physics attached to it. So I guess she found Tress Effect shampoo
Yeah.
after the whole thing on the island happened.
Yeah.
But
The game is cool though. The voice acting's really good. Her at least. Like some of the other characters you don't get to see all that much of, but her voice acting was really cool. Mm-hmm. And her whoever the friend was, the other girl was good.
I definitely get the Far Cry comparison because they did come out pretty close together. And when I played it, I described it to people as it's pretty much like Far
Third
Cry
person
plus Uncharted.
Yeah, it was a similar. It was
With
a
a
similar
girl.
similar self discovery as.
But like I
Jason's,
bought into it so much more in Tomb
Yeah.
Raider than I did for all the people in Far Cry. All your friends were such annoying
Yeah.
dickwads, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't care about you,
Yeah.
but like Tomb Raider was much more. I mean, it was cliche like. Oh, the professor's just in it to get. He's desperate for publications, and he
Right.
fucks everything over. Surprise! But like, and there's the gruff old bounty hunter father figure who bites the dust early, and she cries about it, kind of thing. But I don't know. I liked it way more
Yeah.
than Far Cry.
You like Tomb Raider as a game more than Far Cry?
Uh,
Okay, be careful here.
well, let me just say
I
this:
might. I don't know.
Okay.
Far Cry was fun, but like
it has way too many issues
Far
narratively
Cry was
to
fun,
be.
but as a
story wise,
game,
it disappointed me hard.
Far Cry's a
I think
mess.
Far Cry up to its first half is fine, and then after that,
Voz, so
Yeah.
for as much as Voz, we'll talk about this later probably, but as much as Voz was hyped, they dropped the ball on that so hard.
that was
Yeah.
my big
Yeah.
thing.
So hard. And Tomb Raider, I felt was much more cohesive. Other than
Narratively, though,
Yeah.
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
well, and even I enjoy. So you were ragging on it for being gamey earlier before we started recording, but I kind of liked that in a goofy sort of way, where
Sure.
because like Tomb Raider was one of the first games that I ever played, and so just like having that there was just like, oh, there's a tomb nearby, let's go look at it.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. I don't know. It like
It sounds like what you're saying is that Tomb Raider really, in a way, captures what seems to be awesome about the idea of exploring a space.
yes, definitely.
Like, I think Far Cry struggled with that a lot because they're, let's call them tombs, were like 10 feet deep. Like you
Yeah.
walked in, got
Yeah, there's
the
a
thing,
lot of
that's it.
caves with crocodiles in them.
yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
Yeah.
this kind of has more of a
I think it was a
element of
a,
exploration.
well,
It was a more linear open world, which
yes,
hid the holes a lot better. Where like Far Cry, there's things like all of the outposts you can. There's so many little exploits you can do, like just stay up on the hill out of their cone of perception and snipe
Yeah.
them all off, and like there's so because it's such a big open world. There's so many ways to break it.
For sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold together as well as the adjusted open world of Tomb Raider did
Yeah.
for me. Anyway.
Well, the narrower, I would say. Like open world games, there's a certain amount of jank that comes with them. Like
yeah.
yeah,
like at
but
Fallout,
like
where
Tomb
people can be
Raider.
walking like 10 feet above the ground for no particular
If somebody
reason.
didn't tell you that Tomb Raider was an open world, you could totally play through that and not realize that it was.
I wouldn't say it's
Okay.
open world as far as it's
Like-
just non-linear. It's not an open world game because there's times
Yeah,
when you
that's
have,
true. There's
when you-
definitely places
when
that
you lose
can't
access to
go
certain
to.
things. It's non-linear.
Would
For
you
sure.
say? Would you say it's open world like Fable is open
No,
world?
Fable.
Fable-
Fable's
Fable
open
1.
world.
Fable 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fable
Fable
1's
1.
not op- I wouldn't say Fable 1's open world.
Why?
It's not.
very
It's not.
tough.
It's not
tunneled.
open world in the sense that Far Cry is.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a
not a-
sandbox. This
it's-
is where open world and sandbox are different terms, which is going to get hazy here.
I think
So
open
Far
world and
Cry-
sandbox are the same thing.
No,
Yeah, they're pretty much.
it's
Similar.
I think it's non-linear open world sandbox
There's
open world.
very few areas in Tomb Raider that you can't go back to.
Yeah.
Right.
But like there are always in some games, there's always areas you can't go back. Like almost always, there's the climactic area where like you go to that save point. It's like if you go past here, the game ends.
Yeah, I guess
So-
Fable's not open world. Never
Yeah.
mind.
So like it's kind of
To me, and like the way they advertised Far Cry was like if you see a mountain, you can go up to the top of
Oh,
it. That's open world.
yeah. But I mean, that's also the way they advertised the first Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But I mean, you literally could in Far Cry. If you
Wait,
if
they
you-
advertised Jackson
Yeah,
Daxter
isn't that
to
funny?
be an open world game?
not so much open
it's
world,
like
but-
if you can see it, you can go there.
yeah.
Like the Jack and Daxter platformer.
Yeah, but it was kind of like similarly structured to Tomb Raider actually. Like you remember, like think back.
I
and,
only
like,
played like
I'm gonna give
A little
Tomb
bit of
Raider a pass.
okay. Yeah. We'll talk about Jack and
We
Daxter
can talk
later,
about that
more
and
later.
find out what we think
But
its position
but I
in
think
2015 should
that's
be.
the comparison that I was looking for.
Okay.
That it's kind of like Jak and Daxter to me.
Yeah,
where like you would play it through totally linearly, but if you want to, you can go back and look at other places.
Yeah, Tomb Raider was cool.
But
Okay.
you're passing on it. You don't want to include it. for
No, I
Game
will
of the Year.
include it.
Oh, you. Okay.
Yeah, it's giving. I'm giving it a
Oh,
pass
giving
forward.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's backwards.
I guess.
Okay.
Who threw Tomb Raider up there?
That was Josh.
That was Josh. Dylan.
Okay, explicitly multiplayer now is Payday 2. You know, I know Ben, you've had a limited experience. Have you played it, Stones?
I think I played a game of it.
You've tasted it at
I've
least.
tasted it. I don't care for it.
So this is a game where the premise is you being. I know now that I've written it down, I don't actually even think it should be there. But it's so you are in the
what is
shoes.
it?
You're in the shoes of bank robbers. It's explicitly multiplayer, regardless of the fact that you can play by yourself. It's still revolved around you and a squad
It's like Left 4 Dead.
You can
Kind
go
of
into a
multiplayer.
game by yourself.
by yourself,
You
but it's
can't
still a
play it by
multiplayer game.
yourself.
Yeah, you can't. It doesn't work. Anyway, a lot of fun to play with people. Repetitive in a good way. Each time you go back, it's to something that you have fucked up in before, and you can use that knowledge to kind of improve on. In addition to that, you have physical attributes that have changed, like you've modified your guns, or you've gained
You level up and stuff.
yeah, you've gained skills through a number of trees, like squad leadership or like brute strength or stealth or
locks
whatever
faster.
stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool skill trees. The game, this goes into our beta talk as well. The game wasn't done when it launched.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's obviously not. There's stuff like the bugs in the game are like enough that it cripples your experience at times, like how.
Like
That's like
sometimes
an
the
automatic
bag gets
pass or
stuck
fail.
under the.
Well, or like things like for example in the bank robbery, you can go in if you want to stealthily pick the locks in the security room and get them all on the ground, tie them up so they don't press the emergency buttons, but then somehow those alarms still go off. Stuff like that. That like
Oh, what? That would.
Yeah,
That's that would be. That would be the last time that. I played.
it's like I've only seen it work like maybe twice.
Sometimes the civilians can press the button. Sometimes there's
No, but I'm
police.
talking about when you go in and you get them on the ground, the two people are hands tied behind their back, it's you and another guy watching them, and then the alarm goes off. After you've disabled all the cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
It was the
So like stuff
invisible
like that. Yeah. Which would be surprisingly useful in a bank robbery. And then there's things like you can rob like typical like downtown strip mall
malls.
kind of thing. Yeah, there's a jewelry store, a Chinese restaurant and stuff all next to each other. You can hit them all at once. There's another map that's again just a bank. There's another map that's like a mall. There's another
one
map
that's like just a jewelry store.
yeah, jewelry store. There's another map that is an art gallery. So it's a little bit of variety within the levels.
Art gallery's impossible. Don't bother.
And it does rely on a lot of teamwork. Any map that you're on is, like we
I
said, it's
found-
impossible to play by yourself with computer based. Yeah, AI.
I found
NPCs.
in my experience, it's a lot more fun playing with people you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't
And-
play any. For me, this is just me. I never play, and it's part of the reason I get left behind in things like Grand Theft Auto and Halo and stuff is that I don't play unless I'm playing with my friends. Because to me, like, what's the
Grand
point?
Theft Auto was
Yeah.
a lot of fun playing without you because you're Freddy Duddy.
Oh,
Well, because my guy has no I haven't leveled up at all, so I have no
Yeah.
stamina or anything, right?
no, I know where you're coming from, Dylan.
Yeah.
I don't
To me,
want
like,
to put my
it's
headset
like-
on and hear people scream
and
at
it's
me.
not-
I don't want to hear people screaming at me. I
And it's
just
not like
playing the game.
let's say you go to a place and play a board game with a bunch of strangers. You get to know them. You hang out with them. It's a different setting. You play games. The online community for any game is just bad.
It's usually toxic.
Yeah.
in
Well,
fact.
Yeah.
It's just bad. There's no argument there. The people that you meet randomly on the internet are not.
Nice people.
I
usually.
would
No.
have to disagree with that too because I have met people who I go back and play
It's an
with,
incredible
Absolutely
minority.
possible that
Yeah.
there are nice people
It's
on
not
the internet.
plausible.
who I go back and play multiple games with, and add them to
Well.
my friends list and go back and play.
Well,
with them.
Anyway, I
Good
like
for
I like
you.
yeah I like playing with my real friends that I can talk to.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So Payday 2 is getting a pass then?
I'm actually now that I think about it, I'm
Not
gonna say no.
including it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Passing on it,
Yeah.
we're not giving it.
I'd
pass.
say-
We're
let's
not
do it.
giving
Okay.
it its payout.
Can we do
Yeah.
pass fail jargon?
I'd
Let's
say
just say
that-
pass and fail.
Yeah.
All right.
Payday, really good game to play. Definitely not game of the year.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe if it was like multiplayer only games.
Yeah, no,
Excellent.
not into it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Bang.
so I made this list before we decided we were all going to do our own list. So there's a bunch in here that I don't really care about. So I'm going to skip through.
Yeah, skip what you don't.
those.
What is
Mention them
important to you?
quickly. Say the ones that you don't want, just so we can get a bit
Well,
of
like,
flavor
I
in
don't
here.
care about them, but I just included them on here. Like Crisis 3 was a big deal, but like
Yeah,
flop,
who
not
cares?
not interested. I wrote Terraria down there with a question mark,
Nope.
not interested. Injustice I wrote just because it was the big fighting game that came out this year.
Is that 2013? That's
Yeah.
weird. I feel like that was older.
I bought that when that came out.
Did you?
I
Quick
got
blurb.
it.
I played the demo, wasn't into it.
30-word stones?
I bought it because I was interested to see what they would do to continue on the legacy of the Mortal Kombat kind of storytelling through a fighting game. Was supremely disappointed that even though they had a clean slate kind of to work with, like new characters, new everything they chose to make a story that was without consequence. So they did like in an alternate universe. They then just
Fuck
kind of
that.
wrapped it all up by saying, that universe
Comic books
doesn't
are so
exist, or we went
messy.
back to our own. Oh, but they have such a good base to work
I know.
from.
Yeah.
It's so
It's super
stupid
frustrating.
that they do things that are
It's
non-committal.
because when you get, I mean, that's a video game, but even within comics, you get so many different writers for every different time that you do anything. So they're like, whatever, I want to do my own thing and say
Yeah.
that it takes place somewhere else.
They don't try to tell stories in comic
No.
book land, so
They tell-
it makes sense that a game based on comic book characters
Yeah.
doesn't try to tell a story with consequence.
Was it at least better than Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe?
I never played that one. I can speak to the last Mortal Kombat 9, I think it was. I like the fighting system in Mortal Kombat 9 more.
So did
Right.
I.
Just
Big
preference
time.
wise. It's interesting what they did with
Okay.
the Injustice, but I think visually and kind of spectacle wise, it gets a little tired too quickly.
Yeah.
And this is something you kind of mentally glaze over now that you think about it. Just
I played the demo and wasn't into it, but it was
Cool.
the biggest fighting game that came out, so I brought it down my list
Okay.
just to talk about. But
we got Killer Instinct on the Xbox One.
Fuck that.
I really don't.
Straight up, fuck that.
Killer
I mean,
Instinct sucks.
Well, it's all. I can see why people like it, and it's a very smart game mechanically, but I'm not at all interested in it.
I don't like.
No.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think it has a weird overexposed look too.
Yeah.
Like there's weird lighting effects.
Yeah.
that
I
are
do.
just-
I like some of the particles. I think that's cool. Some of the stuff.
It kind of
showering all
reminds
over the
me
place.
of like when the Xbox 360 first came out. It looks very plasticky.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah.
Bloom lighting and stuff.
Barbie and Ken doll shooting
So
each other.
What's another shitty one on there?
Well, it's not shitty, but I've never played it, so I don't really have anything to talk about with it. It was Thomas Was Alone.
Thomas Was Alone was awesome.
which I've
Did that come
heard-
out this year?
I don't know.
I think it was last.
I think it was last year. Anyway,
the
go play that
PlayStation
game.
version
Yeah.
was this year.
We
but
won't talk
I-
about it. Go play Thomas Was Alone.
Yeah,
I will.
So I guess the next big one on here that I've got that I give any shits about is The Last of Us.
I think that's a pass anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just
so,
put it
like,
down if you
can
guys
write
want to
it
talk
down.
about it.
Yeah, so just briefly,
Okay, yeah.
that's Naughty Dog's departure from the Uncharted series, which is what they've been doing exclusively since the PS3 launched.
It's their departure from third-person action games to
Yeah.
third-person action games.
Okay, that aside, the biggest thing I need to be sold on is why this is different than the slew of post-apocalyptic dredge that we've been exposed to for the last 6 years.
Okay, well, it's not so much that it's different, it's just really excellent.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. I don't.
Yeah.
Dylan, it's
Snort. Okay.
It's totally excellent.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I compared it a lot to sort of BioShock Infinite when I played it because
Huh.
it's a grizzled old dude
With a
and a
female
sort of
counterpart.
younger, more naive female counterpart that he's guiding through this
Oh, I
world.
wouldn't say Ellie is naive.
She is the start.
She's a tough cookie.
Oh,
who's
big time.
street
I love-
smart.
But
Yeah.
again, that's similar to Elizabeth. You find out that Elizabeth is quite capable later on in the game. Anyway,
There's a whole discussion I could have with you about that.
Yeah. But when you start, maybe naive is the wrong word, but she's very much like a 14-year-old annoying girl
Would you say
when you
she's-
first start.
even brash instead of naive, maybe.
Yeah, and then she becomes much more capable and badass, for lack of a better term, as you go through the story. And like, you can draw comparisons to all kinds of other...
The road and all that.
Yeah, the road
Yeah.
is one that comes up a lot.
Now, this game is obviously, I mean, mechanically, from what I've heard, it's quite good. What I've seen, the enemies are quite interesting. Whatever they are, blind but not deaf or whatever. So
There's
they're-
all different ones,
Yeah.
but yeah.
so and one.
Infection scares the shit out of me.
Well, that's
'cause
a
it's a
real
real thing.
The-
Well, it affects
It is a
insects,
real
but
thing,
that's
yeah.
okay.
But
yeah.
So, and what this game is,
Or whatever.
Yeah.
from what I've heard, overall, this game is hailed most for its storytelling capacity. Now, why is that the case? Why is it so highly regarded? Like, what from your
It's
opinion?
really
at least?
well. It kind of takes the Uncharted has been doing a lot of Naughty Dog, but with Uncharted they've been doing a lot. Them and Quantic Dream have been really pushing. It's not just voice acting; it's acting.
Right.
They have full blown motion capture studios. They get the same people that are doing the voice to act out the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the performances are really top notch as far as the like their whole facial animations are fully captured.
Cool.
The whole thing is acted out, and then they just put the digital paint job on top of it. So that sort of makes it much more.
I don't know if they're
believable, I
really
guess.
alone in doing that.
They're not alone anymore, but they were definitely
Naughty
pioneers
Dog
of it for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely.
big time.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
I would just interject and say that they do just write an incredible story.
And the
there's-
story is incredible.
like the
for
story,
sure.
the story is a very human kind of struggle, dealing with like loss and what's important in life and a number of other elements that
Well-
is just sold so sincerely
Yeah.
with the technology of
Yes.
motion capture.
And that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's
Like
good
that-
for me to hear because the problem with so many apocalyptic stories I find is that they never really. I don't know if they do in this game at all, but it's never the discussion of why you're trying to survive is never really brought up. And I would like if more things
talked about.
Yeah.
that.
brought that up
So,
because
like-
why are you trying to stay alive? What's
and
the
that-
point?
and
look
that's
forward to.
that's
Yeah.
one of the things that definitely comes up. Like
It's good.
and it comes up, but it's not like a heavy-handed
Good.
like surviving this way is right and this way is wrong. kind of
Sure.
thing. But like, I don't think this is spoiling too much because I don't want to spoil it for you. But like, Joel has a brother, and like the ways
Be careful, Dylan. If we want Dylan to play,
I'm gonna
this,
come play it
and-
this week. Yeah.
I want to play this
all
as well.
like, they just have very different ways of viewing the world, and like it never really goes into because the game is set 20 years after
Everything happened. Yeah.
you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you play.
I've seen the
opening
first half
chapter-
hour,
Yeah,
so-
we went
Oh,
through the
okay.
prologue already. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he watched me. Play
And this
it.
game is months old, so
Yeah.
whatever.
So like the prologue is like the night that shit goes down.
Yeah.
And then it skips to 20 years later.
Right.
So that
Can I just make one quick comment about that?
sure
That title cut, like that cut when it's like-
amazing.
oh,
well,
is it a
my
title?
job-
A good title card?
no, it's just that like there's a scene. The scene ends.
That's happening.
And then it's a hard cut to a title card that says 20 years later, 3 years, or
Yeah.
whatever amount of time later. And I was like,
love stuff like that.
Yeah.
my jaw dropped. Like it's
I
just
love a
incredible
good
that they
jump
would
cut.
just do
Just
a span of time that
like,
big.
That scene, like
Because like that's
it
so much
doesn't-
about
it-
like what happened and how
Yeah.
people have lived through this for so
Yeah.
and
long.
that's one of the things that also like sets it apart from these other stories where they do that big time jump. It's not about the fall of civilization. It's not about the first 18 months, which it seems to be like most zombie movies tell. Like
This is what's after.
something like the shit hits the fan and like a bunch of people run to a mall and they
Yeah.
survive for 3 days and then that's the end of the movie.
This is about what happens after you
This
get to the
is-
East Coast or whatever.
Yeah,
It always
like,
seems to be the goal.
the United States has splintered into a couple of different quarantine zones, and it's 20 years later. Government is totally fucked. It's not. It's similar to the. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, so that time setting is one of the things that sets
Sure.
it apart for sure.
it gives it a base to work from that's more about the people in the world
Yeah.
than the world
Good.
itself.
Good to
And
hear.
it is just straight up bleak,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
until like it resolves later. But like
it's grim, it's bleak, yes, all that, but for
it's-
purpose,
yeah, and like, it's just blunt and real.
raw.
Yeah, raw is a good word.
Cool.
I really like that game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're going to
It's going
fully
forward.
honest opinion.
Yeah.
There are definitely things wrong with it. Like I said before, the AI is mangled, but like in a way that makes it's like a design decision for the most part. And it's sort of like how in BioShock Infinite, Elizabeth would just like teleport to convenient places, like not even using her powers. Like
Right.
she just would appear where it was night,
Yeah.
and the enemies. They really like the plot is they're trying to get Elizabeth from you, and
And they really like you a lot more
they
than
come
her.
after you and leave
Yeah.
her completely alone.
Well, I mean,
Same idea happens a lot in The Last of Us,
Okay.
where like you're sneaking around and like trying to get the angle on these guys, and Ellie, who they're after, is walking along, and she can literally like run into them, like path collision, and she'll just sort of rub off them, and they will do nothing.
Okay.
Which, when you actually see it happen, which if you're doing your job right, probably doesn't happen all that much because
Yeah.
you're not looking behind you, you're trying to figure it in front of you. It doesn't happen all that much, but when you do see it happen, it's just
bit
like,
jarring.
oh, that's something.
Just in time's interest, that does go forward
Oh,
just from
100%.
internet
Yep.
consensus
Yep.
and from you guys here.
Oh, let's not trust
Sold
the
it
internet
just
for
fine.
anything.
Whatever.
I hear they're jerks.
That's the saddest thing about the internet, is that we should be able to trust it. The internet should be such a
Yeah.
loving,
Why would
wonderful
anyone
place.
lie on the
Why would
internet?
people just go on the internet and tell lies? Yeah.
The Last of Us.
People
is
don't
good.
do that.
All right, though, Matthew,
Stones,
let's
you're up,
keep
yeah.
it rolling. Let's
All right,
try
it's
and
my
let's
turn.
pick up the pace a bit if we can. Just for
We'll save controversial stuff for later, but
Brothers Tale of Two Sons, I think, is one of the most
Sounds
important
good.
games this year.
cool. I would
Really?
love to play it.
Yeah.
You should play it. Who's played it besides me?
think
I played-
just you.
nope.
I think just you.
I will play it in January. It's one of the free
Oh,
PSN games.
Hey, that's okay, though.
I can't buy it when it's $20 if it's gonna be free in a week. Like I'm gonna wait. Like
Yeah.
Okay,
So you-
fine.
are you-
Be economically
you're confident?
sound.
yeah.
We're running out of space. We'll do a top 15, maybe. We'll see. Hold on.
Oh no.
No, we'll have to trim
10.
it.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Yes.
Do you want to put Brothers up there for now?
I would put Brothers up there for now.
Cool.
I will argue to the end.
From
for
what
that.
I've seen, it's fantastic. So
It's an amazing, mesmerizing,
as long as
wonderful, beautiful
did
little
you
piece.
my biggest thing, especially for these smaller titles, which are usually meant to be a bit more poignant and thought provoking, yeah, if you thought about it after you played it, that's like a huge testament to whatever they were doing. So,
If it sticks with you, I would
Yeah,
say. To
exactly.
think about it is just,
Well,
I like
it's-
that.
yeah,
but
not-
if it sticks with you, if it becomes
and not
part of you.
no, you're right though. Not even like, oh, I wonder how I'm going to solve that puzzle, but more so like this really made me consider
How does this change my
something.
world?
Yeah, if it
How
changes,
does this-
if it
how
makes
does
you
this
think,
make you grow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Brothers
If it
is
makes
one
you
of those things that will potentially affect you in a way that will make you grow.
you're
as a
building
person.
this. I'm interested. I'd like to test it out for sure because I love a good smaller title that has a very focused
Yeah, me too.
objective for sure.
If you have siblings, it may be even more poignant.
Okay,
So
cool.
you should check it out.
I wonder which one of them dies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who do you
Well,
kill
it's not
to
even
save the
necessarily
day?
that. It's not even necessarily that.
Okay.
Just to mention it too, the creative director lead. I don't know what the specific title, but the one whose vision this was is
Sure.
a film director who worked with Starbreeze to make it. His amazing life journey is pretty much mirrored in the game's narrative.
Wow. Okay.
Play the game, read about this guy. It's amazing.
Well, that reminds me of another one that I don't
Don't
think,
do the inverse. Do not read his life story before
And,
playing the game.
I don't think any of us wrote us down, but I heard similar things about Papa and Yo. I think
Yes.
it's called.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sort of the same idea.
It deals with kind of
His
That's when you have the big
an
robotic
abusive
friend,
father.
isn't it? Or the
it's,
big.
no, it's a big ogre
imaginary
thing that
friend?
It likes to
Big
eat
monster
toads, and when it eats a toad, it like loses its shit. Or
Cool.
something.
Yeah.
Alcohol's bad, everyone.
Yeah, I want to play Papa and Yo. I was waiting for it to come on PC,
Yeah.
and I guess it's out there now, so I'll
Yeah.
have to check it out.
Cool.
All right, brothers.
Keep her going.
What's up, Josh?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up Grand Theft Auto with. Obviously,
All right,
Matthew didn't like
So
it very much.
We're running out of space is the problem. Like,
Oh, no,
if we're
no,
gonna
no.
have a top 10.
I think
What we'll
We'll
do,
chisel
just
them
keep-
later.
Just keep
Yeah.
filling them out
Yeah.
there, and
These
then
are things
we'll
that
figure out 10 tonight.
these are things that are not immediate garbage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good. That's
All
fine.
right, so next game.
Grand Theft Auto. I really like the story. As much as I played of it, I didn't finish it because I'm a multiplayer whore. And as soon as multiplayer came out, I was just like, boom, multiplayer, why bother?
how far did you get?
I don't know.
See, that's the problem because I think
You don't
this,
even remember.
I think this Grand Theft Auto, as kind of scattered as it was, and I mean, it suffers from the same issues that I have with Tomb Raider, where there's a lot of space in between you necessarily doing story objectives. But I got a great kick out of the trifecta that was the story between these three guys, much
but
more
the-
so than I did with.
But the space
Nico.
in between them.
I understand
There
that
was
it's
so much
I
stuff to
understand that
do.
it's fun. That's the exact problem, though, is that you have like your daughter getting kidnapped, and then you go play golf and go to a strip club and switch.
Yeah,
your
but
characters.
that's not their problem that you
No, I
decided to
know.
go play golf after your daughter got kidnapped.
I mean, that's the only way to
Yeah.
unwind from that situation.
Yeah.
I'm just, and it's not a problem. It's just that the space is there, and that you do get lost in it. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily
that's,
bad.
that's a
It's just-
universal problem with the conceit of a sandbox
Yeah,
game.
sure.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
like pacing goes out the window.
Yeah.
It's By no means am I saying the game is bad. I'm
But
just saying
like,
that some of that.
as far as sandbox game go, the pacing in Grand Theft Auto, if you were to act as you should when your daughter gets kidnapped, I think worked very well.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
totally.
This is a whole different argument to get into, but like that is absurd to say if you played it as you should have.
Yeah, in a
Well, no,
sandbox
not really
game.
as you
I
should
know what you
have.
mean, like as the story expects you to do.
Yes.
Is what you're saying, but like that's absurd. Then just make a game that's not a sandbox.
Now, sometimes-
I
yeah,
would
that's-
argue that
I can-
there's a brilliant game, authored game you could make
But-
out of just the missions of Grand Theft Auto. Cut out all
Yeah,
that.
I can
Oh
side
yeah,
stuff.
but who's to say, as like whoever, when this happens, you wouldn't just go off and play golf?
I don't think this really.
Absolutely,
I think
and
this
that's-
is a next
yeah.
episode talk.
Sure.
So, Matthew, would you
I know
really
what you're
quick,
saying, yeah.
because all three of us will push it forward because we had a good time with the game. Is there anything that you would like from your experience just to kind of interject with
I mean, it's all stuff that I would probably bring up
next week?
next
Yeah.
time
'Kay,
if
'cause
we're doing something more focused with
Do
them.
you
So.
do you understand that it's going to go forward right
I
now?
understand it's got forward, and I don't think there's anything I could say to prevent it.
Regardless of whether or not you like the story or the pacing or whatever,
Yeah.
technically speaking, the game
Technically
is
speaking,
a
it's a
game
marvel.
is a
Oh, yeah,
powerhouse,
absolutely.
magnificent
They took
piece of work
They took.
that needs to be
I don't. I,
recognized.
I hate
Well,
getting stuck talking about last gen,
sure.
next gen stuff. They took the
In a way.
previous set of hardware and absolutely maxed
Push-
that out to
oh.
as much as it could, which is awesome. As far, especially like who knows if they're going to release it for the Xbox and the PS4. But
Oh, you bet they will.
whatever, who knows?
I really
But
like,
they-
Christmas.
They like money.
They did a fantastic job.
I really like
with what they
the
did.
mission where you have to break into the Life Invader and get rid of the tornado on one of the computers.
Like it's brilliant little moments like
Yeah.
that I think are okay in that game.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of it's almost a similar problem that the cave has, where there's too much fluff in between or too much stuff that's not focused about
Yeah.
its
And we talked about how it
bits.
was that what
But
you
what
talked about
you-
last time. How it
but what-
almost it doesn't know exactly what it wants to be even after this long. Is that your problem?
What do you mean?
Like Grand Theft Auto as a saga, like as all these games, they still don't quite know what they're going for.
Oh, they know what they want to be. I just think it's completely
Okay.
immature
Yeah, but what-
and like irrelevant. To
But
me.
what you talked about the cave,
Anyway.
the fluff in the cave is completely different from the fluff in Grand Theft Auto.
The fluff in Grand Theft Auto is like all that absurd.
I'm
like,
gonna hop in this
offensive
car
stuff.
and drive all over the place and crash my car and then
No,
run and
no,
steal
No,
another.
it's not that. It's like go ahead, Dylan.
The like the excessive parody that takes place with some of their commentary on real life. Like sometimes they're spot on. Like I think the Life Invader stuff is awesome, but then they'll have ads for stuff that seem out of place because they're too goofy.
But like
Even for that,
But like that
I never-
commentary is so dumb though.
Yeah.
It's like the Life Invader stuff is like it's Facebook and it's like everybody who works in like technology in San Francisco is like douchebag.
Well, that's
hipster.
the thing. And
like
this-
that's such stupid
I like.
commentary.
I just like that. That's the name of the site, basically.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Like that name there is smarter
Yeah.
than anything else they do with that.
And
concept.
I think your phone in Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the best
Like
implementations. I just love how
Well,
it,
one of them is
and you
an
can-
iFruit,
you can,
one
like,
of them is
take
a Windows
selfies.
phone,
Yeah.
and one of them is
Yeah.
an Android.
I like that Trevor has the Windows.
the Windows
Yeah.
phone, and it's like red and it's like very much looks like almost like the baddest of the
You can
of the
take
good, the bad, and the
selfies and
ugly
stuff.
I love that trifecta by that. I thought that was awesome. But just what's on your phone, like you have access to the stocks, you have your banking info in there. The clicker is a middle finger, like stuff like that. Like I just like little
The
things like
clicker's the middle finger.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
When
that's
you
yeah,
highlight a
yeah,
link,
yeah, you're right.
just stuff like that. I thought was good.
It's like okay, well, anyway, I'll save it all for next time.
Definitely, yeah.
going
A next
through.
time chat. Grand Theft Auto though can go through for sure.
Grudgingly, it goes through.
A couple that I would like to really quickly just knock off the list, unless anyone has any objections. Guacamelee was a lot of fun. I think it is very much a Metroidvania game, which has been done a million times with a Mexican-Spanish skin. I think that's about
With
all there is to
all
it.
of the internet in it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, the internet's full of jerks. Let's
I
get
think
this one off the
yeah,
list.
I think you could go forward with that and say that it's like culturally relevant. I guess whatever culture is on the internet, but it's I don't think it is going to go. I don't think of it as game of the year
No.
content.
Okay.
Definitely
Okay,
fun to
yeah,
play.
We didn't
Def-
put the runner in, did we?
No,
No. Okay, then that's not put this in.
Yeah.
the other one was Arkham Origins. As much as I liked it, I think the game was a lot of fun, but we've talked about it so much already in like
it
a
has-
couple episodes ago. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say it is too similar to the game that came before it.
It's definitely
to a
not-
fault, and
yeah.
I don't think there is one scene in that game that I think is a very interesting. Like,
Don't worry, last time we talked about this, all the spoilers were revealed, so fill your
Yeah,
boots.
go for
oh,
it.
okay,
We can just put spoilers in the comments. It's
so
fine.
whatever. Okay,
I don't know if we did that
I-
for that one.
we
we should probably do that on
probably should've
YouTube.
done that,
Yeah.
whatever. Whatever. I almost
Spoilers incoming.
think that
The reveal.
No, there's one scene. Okay, so who played it? You played it. You played it.
Yeah.
You played
I
it.
already know everything that
You already
happens.
know everything that happened? Okay, you guys remember that scene where Batman is finally being challenged by Alfred about like the lunacy of his campaign against crime?
Yeah.
I think that scene is brilliant.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that is probably the only moment in that game I think is worth seeing.
Spine tingling. I thought that was when they were talking about how he was the only one that can do it, and how he basically summarizes like what he's done has had effect. Was it that same
Well, he
scene?
tries to justify it. Like, what's awesome about that scene is that somebody's finally calling Batman on his BS.
Yeah.
And what you have there is a moment where it's between a father and a son, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a spoiled brat yelling at his dad, saying, "No, I'm right. I know what's right.
Yeah.
Screw you, Dad." And you get this very vulnerable Batman that you've never seen portrayed
and
anywhere else.
I think that's exactly what they should have gone for throughout that game.
Yes.
Because that was what the idea was, that you have
They
a very
didn't touch
immature,
on that enough.
you have a very physically powerful guy that is still
Still a
naive,
child.
still learning, right?
Yeah.
But then that's obviously, we can talk about it more. It's contrasted by how capable you are in the game, which is debatable how they should have done that. But I do agree that was one point where they really nailed.
They nailed that scene, and then especially the scene that comes after that where they make up over the radio. There's a very kind of not tense. Tense is the wrong. A very cold makeup afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant that it's even done over the radio, because that argument that they had there, where Batman just like storms out and as a child would, and they make up over the radio. Doing it over the radio, there's distance between them, literally and figuratively now, because now they're not. They don't see eye to eye anymore.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
okay, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah.
We're no longer going to be able to talk to each other the same way anymore.
It was reminiscent to me of when you like finish an argument with a text later on, when
Yeah,
you don't have that personal aspect.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
I think that was great, and I think that's the only good moment out of the game.
Well, I mean, I had fun playing the game. It was more the same, which was okay with me, but that's a subjective thing. So anyway, that's not going forward. Battlefield 4.
No.
Single player is
like shooting
is
games
very
like that.
silly, repetitive.
Single player is silly and multiplayer is busted.
I could
as
not
fuck.
believe that. Oh my god! There was one part where the Chinese special agent is with you, and she's like something about Chinese like government stability is in stake, and the guy on your team says, "Fuck China's future. Our whole ship is in danger."
what? Somebody.
One of your super American bravado guys. Anyway, the game has gotten worse and worse thematically as I've played through the campaign. I don't know if I'm going to finish it just because it's so dull. And then multiplayer has just been a shit show. So
If we want to talk about really bad dialogue, I guess Need for Speed, the latest one, is like the absolute dumbest piece of garbage for that.
Yeah, the
Where it's got, like,
story scenes, story scenes.
Yeah,
are
big
Yeah,
They're
the story
pretty-
moments and
pretty heavy-handed and annoying. I just want to catch people.
I just want to run people off
Yeah.
the road.
Guacamele's out of there. What was another one? I mean, I know I put it up there. Rayman Legends was the sequel to 2 years ago's Rayman Origins, which is a reboot of Rayman in a way, in that it's going back to the side-scrolling kind of ideal, but it's very vividly re-illustrated with very nice colors, awesome animations. If we had been doing this the year that Rayman Origins had come out, I would have put that forward for sure.
Yeah.
This game, Rayman Legends, is awesome. Like we were talking about earlier, it has these very musical levels that are directly related to a Rayman version of, like, Black Betty was one of them, and like that's playing while you're jumping over all this stuff. A lot of fun. But as I've been kind of mulling over the idea of like a game making you think, or even while you're playing it, like captivating you in a way that something else hasn't before, this was very much a sequel. It was more levels of the same game.
I'm not sure which I prefer, the look of Rayman Origins or the look of Rayman Legends.
I like
because
Origins myself.
Origin looks more illustrated,
Yeah.
and Legends looks more clay-like.
Yeah.
If I just had this,
Or like almost like
first
wooden
impression.
like
Marionettes?
etchings. Yeah, like something like it had a very different texture.
Yeah, like it was less like inked outlines
Yeah.
and more like smooth kind of.
It reminded me
objects.
of a mosaic, kind of like on a wall. Like if it was carved and painted out of a wall, was kind
Like
of
a
what it looked like
mural?
to me. Yeah, like a big mural. Yeah. Anyway, for me, I don't know if you've played it, Stones? A little
No,
bit at least?
I played a demo level. And that's
Okay.
it. I'm demo Josh right now.
Again, though, and the more I think about it, the more I would have pushed it forward if it was the year that Origins came out with that game. But I'm gonna cut that one.
Can I throw a game out there?
Sure.
Stanley Parable.
That's what I was going to
Sure.
do.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, Ben, you do it then.
But that's
Yeah.
no, yeah.
That's okay. As far as I'd like to push forward.
You just want to burn your list there?
Yeah, I was just trying to get rid of stuff that I don't think is that relevant. As far going back to another handheld game, the Pokemon games that came out. I think as much extra stuff. There was extra stuff that I thought was dumb, even though, like, I mean, the tickling and the feeding and stuff. While it
I liked
ended up,
it.
well, the end result was great. I loved that it makes your Pokemon, like, it all works into that affection rating that makes your Pokemon more competent in battle, less likely to be confused or whatever. I did not like the process. It's kind of like riding your bike up a hill to get ice cream.
Let me say this: the Pokemon remakes of Silver and Gold.
Yeah.
The most brilliant feature out of that game is that the Pokemon at the lead of your team
Right.
follows you.
Yeah, and
So-
I don't know why they didn't keep that going.
I read that the reason, this is a stupid reason, so I'm just going to say it. The reason why is because once they've introduced the 3D aspect of Black, White, or
Right.
Black, White 2, or whatever, is that the scale of Pokemon needs to be accounted for now. So you've got, like, your Whale Lords and your Snorlaxes
Wouldn't
that are
work.
giant. They
Yeah.
wouldn't work,
So it
right?
wouldn't
It's
be your
like,
little
what,
sprite.
Who cares? Just whatever, make them whatever size. But I think that's the most brilliant aspect of the game because it kind of personifies them and gives them an identity outside
Yeah.
of battle.
Well, just
That-
make it so you can only have certain Pokemon follow you around.
Sure, like there's a number of ways you
Something,
can get
yeah.
around that problem.
It could have a quick little blurb saying like, "Oh, I think he's too big for that," or
Yeah.
something like that.
But
Mother says now is not the time.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
but what that Poke Ami or whatever that
Yeah.
tickly thing,
Satisfies that.
it satisfies that itch because like you're interacting with
Sure.
them again. Like
Yeah.
they're once again something outside of battle.
Yeah,
they're
not
no
just
longer
weapons.
And
they're
again,
not like a fire
Actually,
gun
when
or an ice
you
gun.
when you bring them some of them up in that, like Yveltal takes up both screens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's hilarious. Like Snorlax is 2 screens
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And it's
Now,
like,
talking mechanically about the game, and I've used this reference before, and it was kind of what was hailed in its critique was that this game is everything that you wanted as a kid after you played Pokemon Red and Blue. So, like, when you imagine things with your friends, like being able to trade anywhere in the world and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
not needing link cables, the way that you can have battles like with flying Pokemon in the air and stuff like that. Like, that wasn't necessarily great, and it was kind of frustrating when you have a team of nothing but a Flutterby or whatever that butterfly thing is.
Butterfree.
No, the new one, Pavilion.
Oh, okay.
So you have that against a team full of guys that have bird Pokemon that are super effective against you, and the only one you can use is your butterfly.
I think it's stupid that in that I'll make this quick. The Sky Trainer battles. I have a Gorlurk that can fly
Yeah.
somehow. It doesn't count for those battles though.
No, but I mean, in the same context, the game did a lot of stuff.
I
And
really
it
like
used
the EV training.
the EV training that they brought that out in the open was cool.
Yeah, like they made a lot of wonderful concessions mechanically to make the game either more accessible or more deep.
Yeah,
Like the deeper mechanics more accessible, or the surface level mechanics more accessible. Like everybody gets XP. In that.
Alakazam was a badass.
and now like the Mega Evolutions and stuff like that was awesome. While I know we kind of talked about how games that make you think or that you kind of recommend immediately afterwards should be kind of the criteria. This game, to me, is a system seller for the DS. To me, it's something that I think, especially if you already like Pokemon, this is a reason to buy a 3DS. And in that vein, I think it is very much qualifiable as a Game of the Year contender.
I will say that it's something I've put over 100-something hours into.
Right.
You're welcome to put it on the list, but I don't think I'll fight for it.
That's okay. I just
Yeah.
think that on its achievements that it's kind of
It's a great game.
yeah, that's it.
but
Basically.
I don't think it's much more
And I
than
think-
a good game.
Well,
Like,
that's
you know,
exactly
like
it.
I don't know how to articulate
as far
that
as
better.
handhelds go,
Like, it's great,
as a
but I'm not-
system seller, I'd have to fight for Legend of Zelda.
Oh, I'm
'Cause
not
I had
saying
a lot more
yeah,
fun
no,
playing.
I'm not
Legend
saying
of
that
Zelda.
it's not. It's definitely not one or the other.
Actually, I know how to articulate this now. It's a great game. I think there are 10 games better than it.
Okay, like on this, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, let me throw out one there. Wait, you
Oh,
throw.
we were going to do the Stanley Parable next.
Yeah, you do it, and then I'll do a different one.
Yeah, so the Stanley Parable, I had not heard anything about it until the day it launched. It just
Yeah.
showed up like, oh, here's this thing. And
Ben
it's,
was like, "Get this."
it's probably pretty good. And I was at the office, and the office computer is not that competent, but it
No,
was
like
strong enough.
Stanley's.
Yeah, exactly. Stanley Parable doesn't need much. So I was like, I wonder if this is any good. And I bought it because it's like I hadn't heard anything about it, and then the reviews came out. They're like, "This is awesome. You should
Yeah.
get it." And I was like, "Okay, I like sort of self-referential humor, so
Yeah.
let's get this. See what this is." And played it on the office computer for 15 minutes. And was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
Left work early and went home to play it.
The thing with this game is that it absolutely genuinely surprised me with things that it did.
Yeah.
and I was not expecting.
Like, did
that.
you go back because you played it for like 40 minutes or something? Did you?
I've
actually-
played through. I've done 3 paths. I've like gone back and started it over
Yeah.
twice. So
I think I've pretty much seen
everything?
them- not everything, definitely
No.
not everything, but I've seen quite a big piece of it.
okay.
And so I guess we didn't really talk about what it is. So
Yeah, what is the Stanley Parable?
it's kind of hard to describe.
It's very British.
It's
oh, it's not British.
well, the
You don't
narrator is
No.
British, but I don't think it's like
British humor, no.
right? It's kind of
I can
some
help you
sort
there
of,
if you want.
yeah, some sort of examination of
Storytelling and games.
storytelling and games,
Yeah.
and why we do the things that we do
In games,
And,
exactly.
and why some of those are good and why some of those are terrible.
Not so good.
It outright mocks things like clicking every clickable object and things like that, which I
Did
thought was
you-
awesome.
Did you get the closet ending?
No.
Wait, is this a
Damn.
closet ending?
Yeah. Oh, did nobody else get it? Okay,
Do
well,
you
it's
stay in
not.
the
It's not
closet?
an ending, but like it's when you're walking.
Oh, when you go in the closet and you stay there for a while and then you like go in and go
But
out.
like, how long did you stay there?
Stay
because-
there until he seemed to exhaust his thing. Then I got out and he's like, "Oh," and then Stanley got out, and
Yeah.
then I just walked right back
Oh,
in.
so you didn't stay in there the whole time then?
No.
Oh, what
Because
happened?
if you stay there the whole time, he's like, "Why did you go in here? There's nothing in here." He does all that bit, and then he's like, "You're gonna go home. You're gonna tell your friends I got the closet ending. That was my favorite." And then eventually he's like, "The only possible reason that I can determine that you would be staying in here is that you are in fact dead." And then he's like, hello, anyone out there? Like,
Yes.
please remove this dead body from the computer and find someone who has played at least one first-person shooter game that will understand the humor in this game. And then,
Yeah.
like, when you leave, he's like, "Oh, hello, player 2. So nice to have you." It's like, you should take comfort in the fact that the guy before you can't do any worse than the
Yeah.
guy before you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great moment. in
Yeah,
the
it's,
game.
I love
The whole,
that.
Now I'm going to go back and play it again.
Yeah,
There's-
and the trophy. There's one of the trophies is click on door 417 5 times.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He's like, oh, you're still doing it.
And then you go over there and you click it. And it's like, are you really clicking on this door
Yeah.
for an achievement?
That was in the...
And then he's like, I don't think 5 clicks
Yeah.
is worthy of an achievement. Let's try 10. And then you click some more. It's like, nah, 10's not doing it for him either. Let's try 50. And then-
Having
and
achievements
then he
that,
like makes you run around all these different places. And he's like, now here, now the printer, now the
Yeah.
photocopier. And like, it's just so, it's hilarious.
Self-referential stuff like that is funny. There's a game called Gunpoint that came out last year, I think, that did the same thing. You punch. It was like an achievement for punching a guy to death, and you get another one for punching him like 20 times, and the little narrator's like, okay, you can stop. No, seriously, that's enough. You did it. And then you get another achievement at
For
like
not
50
stopping,
punches or
yeah.
something, and then afterwards it stops. But I like when they
kind of bring to light the absurdity of the action you're taking.
Yeah.
For,
yeah, well,
for
because
this non-tangible.
Well, because
reward.
sometimes there will be achievements that have nothing that you will not do naturally. I mean, a lot of the time there are achievements that you don't do just by
Yeah.
beating the game, right? So
Yeah.
they're making fun of the fact of how trivial some of them are.
Yep.
But yeah, Stanley Parable's awesome for sure.
Yeah, and like that was just sort of like surface level kind of humor, but it gets like there's some bleak,
There's
like,
some-
bleak,
there's- well-
scary shit in there.
Well,
so-
there's internal narrative, right? It's not just a commentary on the nature of playing games. It's actually got its own contained
yeah, like Stanley
story.
is a guy
Yeah.
in a factory, maybe
Sort of. Who knows?
Sure,
I
but like
just-
it's more about like the nature of storytelling.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's there's a wonderful kind of like darkness to like when you start going off the path and like subverting the game's story.
Yeah.
Like it's mad. At
How he
you.
reacts to you.
It's not even that he gets mad at you. Like there's this like beautiful sincerity that this narrator wants to tell this story,
And you're
when you're sabotaging it,
Yeah.
effing with him,
Yeah.
like
It's
he
like-
depending on the ways you do it, like he gets like crushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this like
Okay, fine. Keep
there's
going.
this amazing moment where at one point you've gotten so far off the path that it's gone to this like esoteric abstract like representation of the world, and like he's finally like achieved like serenity, right? And you walk away from it and he's pleading for you to go back, and the only option for you to do is like climb up these stairs and fall off and kill yourself.
Yeah.
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 And he's
And you
pleading with
you have to do it
a
3
couple-
times.
You have to do it a
yeah.
couple times, and just like it's heartbreaking. Like there's this monster, the controller, you like destroying this man's story and his work, and then he is, you know, the logical outcome is that like the world ends when you die,
Yeah.
and he will end too, and his story ends, and it's just this I don't want to die kind of thing. Like I don't want to examine death yet. Oh, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
It was really, really good.
I'm putting it forward for sure.
Definitely.
Please
As
put it-
far as the like small
please put it
focus
forward.
This is,
scheme
yeah, I was
category
going to say,
goes,
this is
like,
why, I mean,
definitely
if
put
we
that
had
in
the
there.
time, it'd be awesome to do individual categories, but
It also has the most amazing character in the world, the Stanley Parable of
yeah.
Retro
No,
Woman.
I would
probably gonna
I would attest that too. That's
Yeah.
I'm
good.
probably gonna go home and play the whole game tonight.
Play it.
Well,
It's
good luck.
I just
The whole game.
Yeah.
I just bought it
Yeah.
and it's installing now.
It's so much fun.
Jeez.
And just
The
little
features
things
now.
like
Yeah.
I don't even want to spoil it, but like just so many little things, and it changes too. It fucks with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, let's
Like,
not say anything.
Yeah, but like
Okay, let's say this. Sometimes the game may appear to have begun
Reset.
anew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good
I'm
luck.
That may not be the case.
Yeah. It's very cool.
And we'll leave it there. Let's not ruin
Yeah.
any more for it
Yeah,
because the discovery is the beauty of it.
Very smart.
all right, what's next?
Okay, let me see what I got left on this list. Oops. I got 1 and 2 here. Which do I pick? Josh, do you have a game? Like, you have one lined up still? Or okay, well, let's do this. I say Rogue Legacy.
Okay.
I have one more in reserve, but we'll get to that later. Rogue Legacy, I really like that game. I think I would be able to say it's one of the games from this year that you should play,
Okay.
just because it is a very well put together piece of work that has some very interesting mechanics. It's not so much a piece that wants to think or talk about anything, it appears. As big as like the Stanley Parable or Brothers or Last of Us or anything like that. It just is a very fun kind of quick game that has a lot of turnaround and a lot
Quick
of
in quotations.
quick in quotation marks because like the let's call them rounds you play. Like it's basically a side-scrolling like side-scrolling adventure game where you're exploring a randomly generated castle to get loot items and all that stuff, which then feed back into your abilities and your spells and armor and all that stuff. But the idea is that every time you die, you play as your descendant,
Yeah.
and they have a differently assigned random set of skills, attributes, and all that stuff. Some are detrimental to you, some are a boon to you.
Some of them are really funny.
Some of them are really funny, like the farsightedness, where everything is blurry around you, but everything at the edge of the screen is in sharp relief.
Weird.
Anyway, I think it's a fun little arcadey game.
Cool.
That's got a lot of lasting appeal because it takes so freaking long for me to beat it.
So you'd put it on there?
I think I would, maybe. It might be one of the ones I drop.
Let's hang on to it for now.
Hang on to it. What are we at now?
Josh, is
We got 10 or 12, 10 or 11, but I've got a couple of them that I think we can probably cut pretty easily.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't played any of these left on your list, but I hear Black Flag is really fun and it sounds really fun.
Assassin's Creed is good. Again, though, it's like
it's a great recovery for Assassin's Creed, but I don't know if I
Yeah.
would say it's the best of the year.
that's what
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am too. And
Pirates
Yeah.
are cool.
and I don't think the core game's very interesting. I fucking hate the main story.
Yeah.
There's
I
nothing
didn't,
like
I didn't hate it. I kind of liked that it didn't do the same. You're an assassin. The
Right.
Templars are bad. Let's do. But at the same time, it,
And there were
lacked
parts that I liked.
focus because it didn't have.
I liked
that.
the part where you are stealing this guy's gear, whether or not you understand why you're doing it is fine. It's just cool. I liked the incorporation of like Captain Kidd and stuff like that. Again, like they always have good stuff incorporating
How-
historical characters.
How much of like the Eden like
None so far. Well, the stuff, the main world stuff, is you working at
Abstergo.
not a video game. It's like a virtual simulation to take people back into these memories.
No, it's a video game company. They made
Is it a video game?
You
Is that
look
the
at your
idea?
desk, Assassin's
Is
Creed
it-
3 is
okay.
there. You guys
Yeah.
made that in Liberation.
So you are working. You're a guy working on this
you're
pirate.
working
this
to
Edward
make a
Kenway
movie.
thing. Yeah.
No. You're
Yeah.
making
What?
No, you're making the game. Like
No,
the conceit is that you here. It's hilarious. You're working in partner with Ubisoft Montreal.
Right.
Like if you've read that little brochure.
yeah.
thing,
Abstergo Entertainment.
Abstergo
Yeah.
Entertainment's working with Ubisoft
Right.
Yeah.
to make Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah.
because the main things I liked about Assassin's Creed 2 were all of like the
Future stuff.
the
Or, like,
future stuff.
The Desmond
the
stuff,
present
right?
stuff. Yeah, I love that. Everybody hates
but
that.
like all the stuff that
No, I like that.
Oh, I do too.
that, like
but the
everything it's like the stuff like you find the thing
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the wall it
internet.
brings you to the thing
Yeah.
you
Definitely.
find the cool stuff
Yeah.
about the Eden and
Yeah.
didn't.
There's a lot less of that. In this
I didn't
one.
find
There's,
there
like,
was
none
as
of
much
it,
of that
really.
in Assassin's Creed 3, and it really bummed me out.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 3 had so many problems. Though.
Fuck
That's a
Assassin's Creed
whole
3,
other
that.
thing.
Hold on, let me just say one thing about that. I liked half of Assassin's Creed 3.
So did I, but
I
like-
liked the Connor half.
Yeah, I liked running through the woods and playing as an
I
assassin.
really liked the homestead.
Fuck off.
fuck you.
That was my favorite
up,
I'm gonna
dude.
throw
part.
you
Explain
out the
it.
goddamn window. No,
I,
we're not talking about the homestead right now. We're
No.
not doing it. We're way over. Like we're not even going in there. No.
Assassin's Creed
It did
4,
make
though,
me really unhappy when the black guy died.
the best part about Assassin's Creed 4 is obviously smashing your boat into
Assassin's
another
Creed
boat.
3 when
Fucking
And
jumping
fucking-
over and just
everything-
cutting everybody. Yeah.
Everything about the pirate ship mechanics work so well as a video game about being a pirate. And I think in that aspect, the game did everything I could have asked it to. But it still has a lot of the problems that it's had since Jump, like stealth mechanics and
so it would have
climbing.
been better as a pirate game.
It is
than
a pirate game.
Assassin's
It is a
Creed.
Oh,
like
it's- yeah.
it's very little involved.
Yeah.
The assassins don't like fully come into it until at least 50% of the way through the
Yeah,
game.
you meet up with someone else
And-
who has secretly been an assassin. But
Is
for
it
the
Captain Kidd?
No.
I don't know. You have to see.
Okay.
Captain Kidd is not in the game. It's set after Captain Kidd was a thing.
No. Like James Kidd. He's
Or sorry, yeah, you have James. It's not the same Captain Kidd from the Legend
Captain Kidd is
oh, sorry, whatever.
is dead.
Yeah.
There-
James
There's a
Kidd,
character
whoever
who
it
is Captain
Of a
Kidd's
ship.
kid.
though. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
is
they
he
do.
an assassin?
I'm not
You
going
have to
to
play the
divulge details of
Okay.
characters' allegiances, but
One-
Captain Kidd.
Like, I'm
You
at the
have,
mission where it
you have
seems
to
like
you have to play the game to see if he is an assassin.
yeah.
To see if he is.
One more
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
not about Black Flag, but about Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
Since
Assassin's
No-
Creed 3 came out this year, didn't it?
Three or
we're
four?
from we're from Nova Scotia.
Yeah, you trolling bastard. Fuck you.
We're from Nova Scotia. I love that Oak Island was in
there?
that game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
me
that's
too.
cool.
Big time.
Oh,
Like-
Oak Island in 3 or 4?
Yeah,
in three.
Really?
In the game.
Yeah, I
You could go
explored
to
the
it.
shit out of it. There wasn't that much to find, but it was
No.
still cool.
I have to write this down.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that we're talking about it, I don't think it's a contender.
I wouldn't put it
I still haven't finished the game, which is a testament to because all I do is
Yeah.
fly around in my ship. I don't care about the story or anything. Assassin's
game.
Creed.
Do you have any other left on your list that you wish to nominate?
You can talk about Antichamber in a second if you want to. The Swapper is the best small, kind of compact game that I've played in the last little while. The premise being,
You're a
You are-
spaceman.
it's hard to explain without spoiling stuff. You are working on a space station that has been part of a research project in
Cloning.
cloning and also the idea of sentience, and that you've been working with these organisms or life forms called watchers, which are technically intelligent rock formations that have like some kind of special psychic communication with each other. And it's another game that revolves very heavily on you finding terminals, like directly. That's how you understand the narrative, is by finding these terminals that fill you into what's been happening. But it's structured very, very much like a horror movie, in that the way things are paced and placed and things, like you run past some of these watcher samples and the screen will go all hazy, and then it'll have a strand of dialogue as they're communicating with you, like saying something kind of abstract, like what has come before this life, and just a lot of weird, like, transcendent sort of stuff that makes you think about things. Then the actual game mechanic is that you're working with this tool called the Swapper, which replicates yourself or your soul, which has been discovered to be like a chemical component of your body, and projects it into another body outwards to help you solve puzzles, like putting them on top of pressure plates and stuff. But they can die, so they're not indestructible. They react to gravity the same way you do. They crumple and break when they fall from a certain distance. And one of the selling points of this game was the idea of like what happens to these clones when they die. Like, where do they go? What happens to all these things that are replications of your soul after they've been destroyed? And it runs through you being on this ship trying to get it back, warp drive going and stuff. But that's not really important. It's more so your journey as this guy, finding what survivors may or may not be still alive on the ship, and solving these puzzles and interacting with these watchers or these other life forms. And it's one that I'd be willing, especially if you guys have a chance to check it out over the next. I think it may be $15 full price, but I think it's absolutely worth it, or to at least watch videos or something online. So I'd like to push it forward, because I don't. Have any of you played it before?
I played the tutorial bit, and
Okay.
I want to see the rest.
Do you have
of
the
it.
game?
I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna
it's
put that
something I'm
up
going to
there.
try and get through this week.
Cool.
because I finally got my new setup and it is conducive to doing keyboard and mouse games.
Very nice. Sounds good. All right, Ben, what do we have there? Anything else? Do you have a couple you want to knock off for interest's sake, or what?
There's a couple that I feel should get mentioned, but
Sure.
I haven't actually played them, so I can't really defend them, so they're going to get dropped anyway.
Okay.
But two really good Vita games, Killzone Mercenary and Tearaway.
Okay. Tearaway, I've heard, is a system seller.
Yeah, it's Media Molecule, and they pull out all the stops. It's
Nice.
Like, I don't have it yet, but I want to get it. And I've heard nothing but good things. And it supposedly does a lot of really cool little things with all the Vita's crazy stuff. Like, apparently the sun, instead of just a typical smiley face, happy Cartoonland sun, it uses your face, because there's a front-facing camera, and puts your little face on the sun, and just like random little what, like that shouldn't be cool, but it is. And like things like you can bounce the guy by like using the back touchpad to like bounce him. Just little cool things that
Sounds like it uses a lot
apparently
of the
work
hardware.
really well.
They
without
actually
being
use the
gimmicky.
hardware?
Yeah.
It's almost like if the DS did anything other than a menu screen at the bottom. Touch
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that, but like I haven't really played it yet, so I can't defend it really well, and nobody else here I don't think has.
Do you have a Vita?
So I do, yeah.
Do you have a Vita, Josh? Not Josh. Dylan, do you have a Vita at all?
No.
Okay. He said no. He's off mic right now. All right. So, all right. Yeah. Check
But
that one.
that's
I
a
guess.
mention, but like we can't really include it because none of us have played it yet.
Yeah.
And then Antichamber, it was one of our book club games, and Dylan and I both had it on our list. But as I'm thinking about it, I don't really want to defend that over any of the other ones that we have on this list.
I also
so-
don't want to try and think about that game much more than I already have.
like it's really cool,
Sorry,
but
it's Antichamber, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you play that?
I have it. I haven't fired it up yet.
So like it's got a cool concept of where it's supposed to be like the anti-puzzle game and change the way you think about puzzles. But the farther I got into it, and like the more that once I discovered what I was doing, I kind of feel like it cheats a little bit in that it just doesn't tell you anything. And a lot of the puzzles that you can't figure out when you're first starting, like, oh, this is really deep, man. You can't figure it out because you don't have the right tool to solve it, not because it's hard.
Yeah.
You just, as soon as you get that tool, you're like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, like where it says it's an anti-puzzle game, I don't really think that's a thing. Because like every puzzle game, you learn how the puzzles in the game work, and then you
exactly.
Then you solve it.
Yeah.
and you solve it.
Yeah.
Like an anti-puzzle game is like what, a shooter?
Yeah.
Well, no, because the puzzle is bullet into man's head, man dead, puzzle solved.
There you go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Where
the
does the
idea.
bullet fit?
The idea of anti-puzzle is like when they show in the trailer the purple or the red and
Red
blue
and blue
stairs.
and you just keep
It's-
going in a loop, and you
yeah.
have to turn around. It does a really cool. I think Wikipedia described it as a adventure game through non-Euclidean space,
Yeah,
which
that
is
makes sense.
which is pretty cool. And like I enjoyed that sort of aspect where like turning right doesn't necessarily
Mean you're gonna go right.
Yeah.
three rights don't make a left kind of. It's
Three
like,
rights make an upside down.
Yeah, it's weird.
It sounds
And
like
that kind of stuff is really cool, but Game of the Year material.
It sounds like that it is a subversion of what made Portal a very strong kind of iconic game. But
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet, so I can't speak to it.
Portal ushered in a whole new genre.
It was-
First person puzzle with
Yep.
snarky
Yeah.
narrator.
Yes.
There's no narrative. There's like
There's
Well,
these
you
snarky little
little
pictures.
cards, but yeah, I know. What you
same
mean,
idea.
yeah. So I guess the other big one I had in here that I thought warranted a good mention, and maybe we'll get on the list here, is Beyond Two Souls. Although I am very aware that nobody else here has played it.
I played Heavy Rain. I know what to expect from that, and I would like to see it.
You
I would
like to see
really
it.
like to play it because I really enjoyed Heavy Rain. If
Heavy
it's
Rain was
anything like that,
So, from what I've gathered, people that really liked Heavy Rain tend to not like this one as much.
I didn't really like Heavy Rain.
Okay, well then maybe you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
I don't get that because I really loved Heavy Rain and I really like this too. So I'm not sure why that is, but it just seems to be a trend.
Did you hear this on the internet?
Well, I read it on the internet, but like just from the gathering of opinions that I've seen, like not just from one site or chat board or whatever, it seems to be a relatively common trend
Sure.
that people that really really liked Heavy Rain don't like this one so much.
Well, I can just chime in real quickly here. My understanding of like why a lot of people maybe don't like what is it called?
Just call it Beyond.
Beyond. A lot of the reasons why people don't like Beyond is because
You can't lose.
no. Well,
Is the main criticism that
there's a lot of
I've
games
heard.
you can't lose.
I know,
in,
but like Heavy Rain, there were a lot of things. Like if you didn't
Weren't there very grim endings for
Yeah.
a lot of
after a certain
paths?
point, so
people
Okay.
started getting killed off.
Because Heavy Rain, you had 4 characters, and like the cool thing about it was if Ethan died, That wasn't, you didn't like restart at a checkpoint. Ethan just died, and then you played with the rest of the characters and sort of solved what you could.
My guy died in the car. I was so
Yeah.
sad.
Wait, the FBI guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god, are you serious?
I didn't get to the glove box in time.
Oh my god.
So
Okay, let me rewind here for a second. I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of people don't care for Beyond, or at least have criticism for it, is because it is. You know what? Come back to me. I gotta
Okay,
put my thoughts
yeah.
together a little bit better.
So, like the criticisms that I've heard were that it plays itself, so like you can't lose. Like for the most part, something if you just put the controller down, like you don't do the prompts, like something will happen. Like it might end up being a little bit different, but you always end at the same place. You don't get that drastic consequences like you do in Heavy Rain because you don't have 4 characters to kill off. It's
okay.
just Jody.
Yeah.
So you don't have that sort of flexibility in that respect. That's one major criticism. And then the other one is she has a ghost friend. And they're trying to tell, people get all thrown off because they're trying to tell this like deeply personal, sort of realistic, emotional story, and she has a ghost friend. And it's like, how can you relate to her because she has a ghost friend? Like nobody.
Well,
like,
the ghost friend is just a.
and to me, like I'm like, well, it's a story. Like, get over yourselves a little bit.
It's a literary. Well, the ghost friend just becomes like a literary device
Yeah,
for like
it's just-
best friend, brother, sister,
Yeah.
whatever, right? But I think I put together my thoughts. So whenever you got a chance,
Yeah. No, go for it.
Okay, I think the reason why a lot of people criticize or have problems with this game is that it's David Cage that puts these joints together.
Yep.
I think he struggles to write big pieces.
He gets excited with each scene.
Well, he does good scenes and good moments,
Yeah.
but he can't do something big and coherent
Yeah.
all the way through. And Beyond,
Just like comic books.
Well, that's
just exactly
it's
like
exactly
comic
like
book.
comic books. Very cool stuff on each page, but how does it all work
How
together?
does it all fit together to say something important? My understanding is that David Cage does struggle with this a little bit.
Yeah.
Putting together a big picture story. While he's great at doing little moments, like tons of those in Heavy Rain. Like
yeah.
the stuff at the beginning of the game where you're just doing benign family things later in the game like the FBI guy struggling with his addiction to that blue stuff or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Whatever they call
ultra
it, Novocaine or
whatever it was,
Yeah.
right? Like there's lots of beautiful little scenes in Heavy Rain, but
Yeah.
altogether, like the big mystery that they were telling totally falls apart because of very like specific beats that they mess up, which is easy to do when you're only good at doing small little
Mhm.
character moments.
Yeah.
And Beyond, I assume, functions very similarly to Heavy Rain in that it's a lot of little moments tied together with this overarching like ghost friend thing.
I would say even more so than Heavy Rain.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
like scene based because it's all her life, and it's not about a very specific, like you're not struggling to find a kid who's been kidnapped and like
It's not
looking-
about a mystery. It's about a life.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's
moments of
It's
life,
sort of about a mystery. Like she's trying to figure out, like, why is this
ghost friend.
Why did this happen to me? And like, what is the purpose of this? So it's like any other coming of age sort of story, I guess. She's trying to find her place in the world. I mean, it's a fantastical one because she has a ghost friend.
Is the
But,
protagonist of this game your sister from Gone Home?
No, it's Ellie from The Last of Us.
Yeah.
No.
For some reason, the two of them are similar in my head just because of the footage I've seen of her at like boot camp and stuff.
Yeah.
But
No.
it's just me. I guess that was someone else. in
That's
Gone
a joke
Home.
that
Yeah.
only 3 people here
Yeah.
think is funny.
But where was I going with that? The other major criticism: people didn't understand why he decided to tell it in a non-chronological order,
Well,
That's always.
I can't speak to that.
which I didn't mind it. I thought, I mean, it kind of like they use it a little bit of a smoke screen to sort of choose when they reveal important plot points. But I mean, any movie does that, right? Like, or I guess I just called it a movie, but any story decides when it's going to reveal that some other character's motivations.
Sure.
So I don't think that's a really valid criticism.
I'm sure there's a very important, specific reason why they chose to tell it out of chronological order. Whether that pays off or not, I can't say.
Yeah.
But there's probably a reason why they did it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great story. She was I found her relatable, invested.
Ben's a girl.
Yeah.
You have a ghost friend?
I do not have a ghost friend.
Did you go to boot camp?
I did not go to boot camp. I don't know.
How did you relate to her then?
She's struggling. She's struggling to find her identity. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Your identity is Ben.
So
Yeah.
this was
Well,
one of the
hers
games.
is
This is
Jody.
one of the games that you were briefly mentioning, right?
No. This
is
is
this
the one
one?
I'm putting forward.
Okay.
Oh, you want to put this
I
one?
want to put this one forward.
Oh, okay.
And just because I think, sort of as we were talking before we turned the mics on, in similar vein to Gone Home, which we may or may not explode into in a few minutes, it's a lot of people rag on it for not being a game. It's a movie, and people tell David
Quotes.
Cage to go make
Direct,
movies,
yeah.
not make games.
I'm
But
pointing at you right now.
Quotes.
Ragging on it.
yeah, but no, I don't think that's ragging on it. I don't want to get into this conversation. I would call Beyond more of a game than Gone Home. People are going to yell at me
Jesus
all they want.
Christ.
I'm scared he's going to spit his beer on me in a second. But
I put it down and swallowed it.
but I think that these experiences, whether you call them games or not, are valid and enjoyable and should be
Experienced.
they should be
Yeah.
experienced and developed upon and fleshed out and continue to be made.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to put that forward.
All right.
As soon as you put limits on what makes a video game, that's when the industry is dead. So.
Yeah.
Plus,
Plus, it was just really fun.
can we hop? No pun intended. Fuck.
Oh God, Dylan!
Yeah.
Can we
I'm
hop back
that's
into the
unbeer
I was
legal.
gonna-
Cascade hop? Oh my! That was even. I didn't think it could get worse.
Let's just cascade this conversation back to the beer.
Anyway,
Just turn it off now,
can't
folks. Just
believe
turn it
that
off.
You
now.
keep making this about games.
so
beer.
after this is our third or fourth one, I guess. What do you guys think about Keith's Cascade Hop Ale?
It's all right. It
I
tastes
have
like
another
fruit
sip.
punch.
It's a little bit sweet for my overall beer taste, but I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, very palatable.
I might like it more than
Regular.
standard Keith.
Yeah, I think
might.
so. And as far as I've had 4 bottles of this, they've all tasted the same, which is
Consistent.
which is quite a bit different than regular Keith's IPA, as far as I'm concerned.
Upon my second sip, this is probably at the top of the list of beers
Because we
I
have
have
tasted.
tasted so far.
Would you have this instead of Pepsi if given the choice?
Josh would have Pepsi instead of blood if he could have the choice.
All right.
So Keith's Cascade Hop Ale, I give it a couple weirdly named hops. Let's say 3.5 out of 5.
There you go.
I'm gonna go 4 Fuggles out of 5.
Nice.
I don't think it's okay.
What's that? 2.5?
I don't know. It's 3 waveforms out of 5.
It would
Says the
definitely
DJ.
not replace Pepsi, but it's not the worst.
It's not.
There's your box
Yeah.
quote.
I mean, I was
ladies
gonna
and
say we're
gentlemen.
gonna
There's
put that on the
quote.
box.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the name of the episode. It's
Yeah.
not the worst.
There you go. It's not. There you go.
So Ben, were there any more? Like before we go around the circle, in a big
The only
revolution
one,
again.
the only other one I've got on my list that we haven't gone over since we turned the mics on is Gone Home.
Okay.
I can
And
fence that.
why
or do
don't
that
you
one for you?
you champion that one? Go for
All
it.
right. Well, did you have anything else other than that? Just
no,
before we
that's,
start.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
that's the only
okay.
one.
Just for now, just so letting you know, I am putting Gone Home on the list because I agree.
Okay.
Uh,
Then I'll just give a cursor every time.
Oh yeah, I also agree. For the same reason that Beyond
Okay.
should be on the
Yeah,
list. I
for
want
sure.
Gone Home on the
Okay. So what are we at right now? Just to
We have what looks like
Recap there.
14.
we have 14, so we
Yeah.
gotta kill
No,
5.
it's. I'm looking at some of them though. I think it's doable.
Okay.
We're doing
So-
top 10, aren't we?
Yeah. 10. So, Gone Home is a wonderful, lovely, beautiful little game of examining the relationship, the strained relationship between a family and a daughter.
Well, even just the entire family. If you
Yeah.
find all of the,
Oh, yeah,
there's-
yeah.
like
There's-
the whole family's a rat.
There is
nest.
something going on, quite life altering events with each family member, almost aside from yourself. Every other family member has something pretty significant going on, and you just went on a European escapade.
Yeah, you just. But that's like that's so life, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
everybody's
totally.
got their own thing going
They're
on.
they're pretty careless with their sensitive personal information
Yeah.
in that house. But
Well, no.
but
Think about it for a second. That's set in 1995.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
did you have a phone in 1990? Did you have a cell phone in 1995?
no,
Did you
No.
use email?
Okay.
You
Are-
may have
like,
kept stuff under
are
your
we-
bed.
spoilers.
What?
Go ahead. Wait, who
Like
hasn't played it?
minor spoilers.
Did you play it?
Relatively minor, like not main characters.
What do you mean? This takes place in the 90s?
No,
Oh.
like would I leave evidence that I was planning on having an affair with my husband on the dinner room table?
Well,
no,
maybe not. Especially,
no, I
okay,
would not.
That's funny, actually. That's funny.
Wait.
Now, I have heard conflicting talks about the game in that there are things like that, and there's also like there's money for pizza messages. So like,
Yeah.
go to the kitchen.
Wait. Where do you find that? Like, I didn't find that piece.
It's in the
There's,
paperwork
there's
on
a
the table.
There's a whole subplot of the wife planning to
Yeah.
cheat on the husband.
Yeah.
with like the
With
the
Ranger
Ranger
Gordon
boss.
or
with
whatever,
the
yeah.
ranger guy. Yeah.
Oh my god! I
Oops,
didn't. Okay,
sorry.
I didn't find the thing that resolves it. Like, I just kept reading about them, and I'm
There's
like,
no resolution.
Like, I don't think.
But that's the resolution.
is what
That
that's
they
going to happen.
cheat? Yeah.
Well, like she goes on a date with him, but
Yeah.
like there's the whole thing where she is really into it, and like she wants to have an affair with this guy. And the letters with her friend. There's one where the friend is like, "Are you sure it's not just like he said he has a girlfriend? Are you sure it's not just like
I
you're
didn't
going to a
find
concert?"
that.
No, go.
So,
if
like-
you can, because you can go back and look. I think it seems
yeah,
a
yeah,
checkpoint
there's
before
like
you.
open season mode
Yeah.
where it just unlocks all the doors, and you can just go look at everything.
Yeah.
That was anyone else frightened by the game at times?
There were
Like,
parts. Okay, there's
Well, before I figured out what was going on,
yeah,
I was
because
like, what is
and I
happening?
remember when Ben recommended it, I was like, "Is it a scary game?" And he's like, "I forget what you said." You were like,
kind of.
"Yeah," you were like, "I don't know." And
it's certainly unnerving.
well,
like,
and
at
that's
first,
I think
for sure.
I think that's a fantastic. I think that was absolutely intentional. They want you to think that it's going to be a game with
ghosts.
other themes. Yeah, it's like, and I don't want to spoil anything more because I know Josh hasn't played it, but there was parts like when the lights go out and stuff. Like I was like, "Oh!"
wait, when did the lights go out?
When you go into the basement, when
in
the
the
lights
tunnel
pops.
with there's a tunnel where you find kind of the creepy stuff, one of the secret passages, and if you pick up the crucifix,
yeah,
the
Whoa.
light explodes.
Yeah.
What?
yeah.
I didn't find this.
Do it. Go through and touch everything. Just go into the game and touch every single thing.
So the champion of this game didn't even find half the cool shit.
Well, like, okay, there's one thing. There's one thing I found that I thought was something that I couldn't figure it out.
Like what?
You know where the safe is, right?
Yeah.
Which safe?
There's more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you mean the one in the basement?
The one in the basement.
Right, right.
Oh, wait, you mean like her locker is a safe?
No, he has the dad's office has a filing cabinet. That's
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
No,
Okay.
but I know what you mean. The one in the,
Okay, the one in the
safe
basement.
Yeah.
So when you go in that hallway there and you go to the right, it goes to a dead end of the light. You click the light, it
Yeah.
says it's dead. The wall behind that looks like it's bricked up.
I remember that. Yeah.
Is
It looked
there
like
something
it
you
looked
can-
like there was a
I don't
patch that
Can
was
you-
not finished.
Can you do anything with that?
I didn't.
or-
I
I
couldn't
don't
find
know.
anything there.
Did you like? Do you? I don't know.
That's what I mean.
John-
Okay, can we just let's just
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk
Let's
after.
talk about
yeah.
this after.
I'll
'cause
just plug my ears.
Yeah,
and go,
but like-
Okay. Like, okay, so anyway,
there's a huge. Did you get
it's a
any?
very
of the,
human game. And
did you get any of the subplot with the dad though?
with the which subplot, like the writing and
Well,
his like kind of
that was
exploration
like-
of
that
his,
was
wish
Like
fulfillment?
why he was writing and
Yeah.
why he's so fixated on 1963.
yeah. The
No.
front. The
Oh,
fore-
okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about this later.
Go back
then.
and do that.
Yeah.
We can do that next week. The forefront, though, was the fact that he is a writer that was somewhat crippled by the results of his first book, and actually
Yeah.
by his father's view of his
Yes,
writing.
I read that.
Father's
yeah,
a
yeah.
dickhead.
His father's an asshole.
Well, no, his father. Okay, let's look.
Okay.
Let's be honest. That book would probably suck.
Yeah.
Reading,
Sci-fi
reading
about
the book,
Yeah.
like the little bits that you
Yeah,
could.
yeah, but like
That book sucked.
but
It was pretty
Did you
bad.
read the letter from his father? though?
Yeah, and it
He
was like-
signed it, doctor or whatever. Like fuck off.
Yeah.
Like you can do better.
But yeah,
Whatever.
anyway, the front of the
Okay,
father's
well, yeah.
the front of the father's side story was the fact that his writing reached whatever peak that might be, and then just went downhill. Whether that's from his
Well, the first book was sold really well.
yeah,
No, it didn't.
it sold
It
it's
sold kind of
It's so-
poorly.
I thought the first book did pretty well.
the first
and then
book
the
did
second
okay,
and third
and then
one got worse and
The
worse.
third one didn't get released. I think was the second one got.
He only made 2. He
Yeah.
wrote a third manuscript several
Yeah,
times.
Anyway, you get to that's one of the best things about the game is that you're playing as this.
Okay,
Poor
you're playing
John.
as
Yeah.
playing as a.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we'll stop this now. We'll just say what the game is mechanically. You're playing a woman coming back from a European trip,
yeah.
and nobody's at the house
Right.
when you get there, and you're trying to put together what's been going on the last year.
Sure.
And it's just kind of through rummaging in the environment of debris
Yeah.
left over from things or notes or whatever. And because it's set in 1995,
It's very nostalgic.
it's very nostalgic in ways, but can contextualize why there's no I can't just call
Text
them or
message.
text
Yeah.
them where are you?
Which is cool.
And it has such a thick atmosphere.
Yeah,
It's
it
atmosphere
is
is
so
great.
colossally full of heart that I was almost. There was parts where definitely the brand names and stuff aren't the same, but the fact that you can go rummage through their VHSs and it's like X-Files
X-Files
episode
season
18
one.
to
Well,
21 or whatever.
There's that poster, I Want to Believe.
Yeah,
and
stuff like
it's
that. And
my
it was
cousin was like
so
that.
very
Did
reminiscent.
you find the scrap of paper with the Chun-Li's moves from
yes.
Street Fighter on
the
it?
codes for her moves.
And
Yeah.
there's one that it's crossed out. Did you see that? Anyway, there's one of her moves. It's like a spin kick or something,
Yeah.
and it's it says back quarter B
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's crossed out, and it's actually this.
Yeah.
Apparently, the reason that it's like that is because they had the original one first.
Oh, really?
And the playtesters were like, actually, it's
Yeah.
this, and so
That's
they
hilarious.
scratched
They
it
literally
out.
scratched it
Yeah,
out.
it's
Anyway,
really
Gone
fun.
Home is great.
Yes.
I'm
there's-
happy to keep it on there for
Okay.
sure.
So
Maybe, maybe even in the long run, we might be able to do.
No, stick to your
let's,
guns.
Let's be
'Kay.
let's be kind of
Stick to our
authorial here.
Okay.
We have to pick one at the
Yeah,
end
I
of
know,
next
that's
week.
true,
So.
yeah.
So I've exhausted my list unless you want to include Mansions of Madness and
no.
board games.
Oh, this I already talked about the swapper. Now, I know I didn't play Devil May Cry, but to me, for some reason, that feels like one that we could knock.
It's not as deep
no,
as the
I
rest
would.
of them.
yeah.
I would keep that.
But
Yeah?
to represent its genre, I feel like it should be because we'll pick one game of the
Yeah.
year, but we should try and pick a comprehensive
Sure.
10.
these are the 10 we think people should play.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Devil May Cry has a lot of heart. It has a lot that it wants to talk about, and is very mature given the immaturity that the series has traditionally
Yeah.
dealt with.
Cool.
It is visually beautiful. It is immaculately acted out through the nuanced performances done by the Team Ninja and Ninja Theory. Sorry, and the actors they chose. I think it needs to stay there. Plus, it's mechanically dense as hell.
See, my
and
problem is that we
fun.
have.
What do we have? Recap what we have.
So we have Devil May Cry,
Yep.
Bioshock Infinite, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, Fire Emblem. What was the subtitle?
Awakening.
Tomb Raider, Last of Us, Beyond Two Souls, Brothers. What was the subtitle?
Tale of Two Sons.
GTA 5, Pokemon X and Y. I'm going to cross that off.
Yeah, get rid of that.
Stanley Parable, Rogue Legacy, The Swapper, and Gone Home. So we
I'm
need to-
comfortable dropping Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we
that
need to
too.
cut 2 more. I think. 1, 2,
So-
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
2 more. What is that one at the very bottom of the list to the right?
Gone Home.
Sorry,
Beyond.
left. Beyond.
Beyond Two
Yeah.
Souls. This is where it's going to get tough. My other thing is, as much as I like Zelda, as my previous argument was, of course, that it's more of the
Josh
same
is
stuff.
going to murder you.
Okay,
if you
how about
cut
this?
Zelda.
Let's make some blocks here. What can we not get rid of? We can't get rid of Bioshock and The Last of Us. I think we
Yeah, I
unanimously
think
agree. Those
if we're going to talk, categories, I would say keep The Last of Us and cut Tomb Raider.
Sure, I'd be down with
As
that.
far as third person
yeah.
action adventure,
Because
games
I
go.
think Tomb Raider meets what Last of Us has as far as combat mechanics and stuff, and then Last of Us
Goes a
excels
little
past
farther.
it.
Yeah.
in terms of its narrative
Yeah.
content and all that
This
stuff.
is where I wish I would have played Last of Us.
Well, you
Just
still
fight for
can.
it.
You got a
Yeah.
week.
That's what I'm going to try and
Because I
do.
really enjoyed Tomb Raider.
I'm comfortable.
did I,
I'm
but-
comfortable doing that. Is everyone else comfortable doing
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Josh, are you
So-
already doing that? You're the one who's championing it. You're okay.
I'm okay. But
So we need to
I'm gonna
cut
look
one
into
more.
Last of Us.
Okay. So we got to get rid of one more there. What's the top one on the left?
We
side?
have 2 DS games.
sorry.
They're both very different types of games, though. So we have Brothers, Tale of Two
Brothers.
Sons.
Keep Brothers. What are the? We have Legend of Zelda and
The
Fire
problem is
Emblem.
that these smaller games are all very different.
Yeah.
Like these indie games, for lack of a better term, are
Yeah.
all quite different.
What is?
I think right now, I think Stanley Parable and Gone Home are in a similar vein.
I disagree.
They're not the same. I would, if I'm going to cut one, I would cut Stanley Parable, simply because if you haven't already played a lot of games, it's entirely useless to you.
And by that, their similarity extends only to their explicitly explorative nature. Is
Yeah.
how I mean.
I
But-
know what you're saying when you say that.
Because
But
I played it and I was like, this is hilarious, and Leah played it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get
That's
it.
true. That's true. Although,
But I guess that brings into light the question, like, who are we making this list for? Gamers or non-gamers?
right?
Or-
But I mean, the background thing is relevant though. Like,
But like, Gone Home will make you tear up no matter who you are.
yeah,
Stanley
that's true.
Parable is only
It'll make you
relevant
think,
to a specific group.
regardless.
But I
of
mean,
who
it's
plays it.
relevant to
To the group of
storytelling at
people.
large. You know, like
No.
the adventure line.
I know,
only
I-
works in video games,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But
I
They'll-
get what you're saying, but I think, like, speaking from experience, someone who doesn't play video games
Now, Matthew,
playing that did not work.
what do you mean?
Leah-
someone who doesn't
the
play
humor
games.
and
Yeah.
Leah played it,
commentary
right.
of Stanley
Yeah.
Parable. I will absolutely concede that the Stanley Parable is about commenting primarily about the nature of storytelling in video games, but I think it can extend beyond that.
Right. Now, Josh might try it. I'm honestly probably not going to get to it. How strongly do you feel about Fire Emblem as far as a deeper discussion goes next week?
I would put up a bit of a fight for Fire Emblem just
Yeah.
because it kind of blew me away with the interplay between
Your narratives between each
the
character.
narrative. Well, the interplay between the mechanical strategy game and
Sticking
the
its
way.
chair, I don't know why. Like it has no
Sorry,
varnish on it or
the
something.
wood
Yeah,
varnish
like-
is like gone. The interplay between the strategy game and then the after strategy game, like the building the relationships between the characters. Like ultimately, what that all leads to
yeah.
is that there are relationships formed between the characters, and it always happens way too abruptly, but they marry each other and they generate children.
Right.
Who then have their own
Sure.
relationships with the parents and all that.
Which
You
is
get more
crazy.
unit- which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting game because old like XCOM, the systems interplay so well into each other.
Right.
Like there's in XCOM the base stuff and then the mission stuff.
Right.
One feeds into
Okay.
the other. Same thing here,
Very
except
cool.
its narrative feeds into the game, which is
So
very nice.
We need to cut one more.
We got one more.
Grand Theft Auto.
I was going to say.
I was actually gonna say-
do we want to go contrarian?
I was
kind of,
looking at Grand Theft
and
Auto, and
axe
of all these
GTA?
games, Grand Theft Auto is the least interesting in the general sense of that word. It
Yeah,
is-
like it's very technically impressive, but
Yeah.
are any of us really going to vote for it next week?
and how much are you willing to talk? Like, I mean, it's getting picked, not to sound like a bunch of hipsters, but it's getting picked by everyone else based on that criteria, like mechanical prowess
Yeah.
and stuff. Whereas we have definitely gone a different route in a lot of these games that we've picked.
But at the same time, are you telling people not to play GTA
That's tough.
5
And I'm not
out
sa-
of the games?
That's
that
what
came out
that's the
this
other thing
year?
is that
I don't think I can do
I don't
that.
think.
Well, hold on. What's wrong with being number 11?
Yeah,
I mean, it's number 11 in this case, I guess.
I'm trying to think like of the
Yeah,
games.
but again, I
You're not saying don't play this. You're saying there are 10 games better than it.
and this and actually
but
that is
I
fair.
would say that universal appeal wise, though.
It doesn't matter about Universal Appeal.
This is our.
What do you
yeah,
think?
Don't realize. Don't let's
Forget
just think
about the
literally about us
internet.
No,
four.
but no, I'm not talking about the internet. I'm saying in general. Like if, if
The
you're going to
idea-
recommend 10 games that
Yeah.
people should,
And
like,
I- and that-
everyone should play,
and that is the point of
word
this.
everyone
Yeah.
should play. I think you play GTA 5 before you play the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
Sure, but do you get more out of GTA 5 or do you get more out of the Stanley Parable? Assuming that the Stanley, before you're playing the Stanley Parable, you have some versed background in video games.
Yeah, we're getting into assumptions.
I'm just
we
trying
use
to
the word
level the playing
10
field.
games that everyone should play, and I
Yeah.
think under that criteria, GTA 5 before Stanley Parable.
Okay.
I would say
From
I would
what
agree
I've
with
heard
that
of
for
Stanley
sure.
Parable so far, and what I've got out of GTA 5, I would have to vote for
Especially
GTA
if you
5.
couple GTA 5 with GTA Online.
So
Now my problem is that we still have. I have the swapper on here. It's something that I'm quite confident any of us would enjoy quite a bit, and that granted would take the week. Whether or not it lasts tonight, it's going to take a while for you guys to check it out. But it's also one that I think works well on its own as a game, purely as a puzzle solving game, is interesting and engaging. So in the same kind of argument of whether or not someone can pick it up and play, that falls in the thumbs up category in that sense, I guess. But Beyond Two Souls is down there as well.
Yeah.
As far as like a very interesting cognitive experience, but not so much of our. I don't want to say game again. It's not a extremely reactive game. I guess.
What do we have locked right there now?
We have BioShock, Brothers, Fire Emblem, and The Last of Us.
Those are locked.
Fire Emblem and Brothers are ones that you seem, and I'd like to try Brothers and Legend of Zelda. Sure,
Zelda. Okay.
I love Zelda's awesome. This game has been really
Why
good.
don't you recap what's still in contention right now?
Devil May Cry, Beyond Two Souls, Grand Theft Auto 5, Stanley Parable, The Swapper, and Gone Home.
I still think overall you axe the Stanley Parable.
I know your reasoning.
I
and
really
don't,
enjoyed it and I loved it. But
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that that's a good argument. Because
Right now we have a very nice mix of very different things. Like we said, we axed Tomb Raider in favor of Last of Us. We have Devil May Cry on its own as kind of a straight up action game.
with heart,
Rogue Legacy has kind of is an RPG, I guess. Would you say it's an RPG? Character,
I would
like,
say it's a character action adventure game.
okay.
Okay.
So there's not.
It's not really
quite-
role playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not-
you keep killing
Okay.
the people.
Let's say Fire Emblem beat Pokemon then.
Yeah.
Rogue Legacy got axed just because you seem to have a vibe about it that it's not going to
I
push forward.
I think
maybe.
it's a good game, but
right. You don't think it's a game?
I
of the
think
year.
No.
I think there are maybe
Sure.
10 games better than it. I think
Again, I
can't-
see the cut being between Stanley Parable and Gone Home, as
I-
far as games that
I-
are.
Well, if
Don't-
you're
I
going to
don't
cut
agree.
between those, then 100% cut Stanley.
I think the cut could. I think we could
I wish I
drop
knew more about the
Beyond. Like I think here's the issue that we have. We have Beyond, which has only been played by one person,
Right.
and a bunch of us played Heavy Rain, and then we have the Swapper, which you've only played.
Yeah.
I intend to, but
Sure.
I can't speak articulately about
Yeah.
it.
And
yet.
the reason I
And I
don't
bet
want
I
to,
will love the Swapper.
and the main reason I don't want to back it too much right now is that I'll end up divulging too much. There's a lot of stuff that you need
to
the benefit of the game is doing it yourself and uncovering these stones as you come across them. So in that way, it's hard to defend right away. But I'm fairly confident that anyone who tries it, especially amongst us, will enjoy it quite a bit. So
I feel confident that I could talk. Wow.
I mean, it might just come back.
You're all welcome to come over and sit through Beyond if you want.
right now, I think it's going to come to democracy. Is it too much of an assumption to put it between Beyond and Stanley then?
I think because none
Is that
of
a
us
fair-
have played Beyond, I think it's too much. Like,
So
there
how
are
many
two
us
games we haven't
three have
played
played
along.
Stanley,
I
and is
haven't
Beyond
played
something?
Stanley yet, but plan to.
That's
So
what I mean.
I can't.
Yeah, but there's a bit of experience between as far as the group goes.
Then only one of us has played Beyond. So.
But that's not that's not necessarily that has nothing to do with the quality of the game.
Okay, how about this? Are there 10 games better than Beyond?
From this year. Well,
From this year.
the other problem.
Well,
Hold on,
but
just-
not
let's
from
just-
the ones we picked.
yeah, that's
Well,
the
just
thing.
are there 10 games better than Beyond Two Souls this year?
This year is tough for me.
Because if there are, we substitute it with something else, and then we make the argument whether that new substitution be cut or not, and then that solves our problem.
For me, it's in my top 10.
It's in
Yeah,
the top-
okay.
Okay, then it stays for now.
Well, how many do we have then? 1, 2, 3,
We have
4. We have
11.
11, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd really
I-
like more experience with some of these other games before I can make a valid vote.
Should we maybe
Leave it at 11.
leave it at 11, reconvene when we've
Yeah,
played
sure.
more Swapper and
Yeah.
potentially more Beyond?
So I need to play.
Because I'm
put
not
this
against
list up on
having Beyond there. I'm sure it's a wonderful
I have a feeling-
experiment.
I know Devil May Cry. I need to play Last of Us, and if you don't mind, we can go through Beyond maybe, depending how long it is.
It'll take an entire day.
Still, I have a week
But,
off school.
Like
whatever.
I
Can I say
I
this
played
for a
through the
second?
entire game in one day,
Yeah, that's fine.
but it will take you the entire
Yeah.
day,
Figure something out.
like 9 to 9 kind of thing. Like,
Work day.
I can commit that amount of time.
well, one of you. Well, I guess you can debate as you go, so like watch it together.
We're
but
we're
one
100%
playthrough.
locked on GTA.
That's the tricky thing is that
I
and
don't
again,
think you can say don't play GTA.
Yeah.
It's
think
not
that's
that we're
the
saying
problem.
don't play GTA
Yeah,
though.
I
We're just
know,
saying
though.
there are
I
10
I
games
don't think
better.
I can say that there are 10 games better than GTA.
I like
You can say that.
I
can
for
say
me,
that too.
I can say that.
I can say that too.
of the games here that I've played, I think I like each of them better than Grand Theft Auto, like for what they are.
Yeah.
I've had a better overall experience with Gone Home, The Swapper, Zelda, BioShock, overall, than Grand Theft Auto.
Why don't we cut Grand Theft Auto then? We're not saying
Because-
it's a bad game.
because that's
We're
the
saying
problem.
there are just
No,
10
I
games
know.
better than
I think
know.
I think the main problem is that we haven't all played the same game. So things like Fire Emblem that I haven't played, I obviously like Grand Theft Auto more because it's the game that I've played. But
Yeah.
like I can't contest between them if I've only played one of them. But if you are adamantly backing Fire Emblem in a way that I can't do with Grand Theft Auto, like that seems right there.
There may be something to that. I mean, I may
Yeah.
be just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
And
what you're saying.
I'm not. And to be honest, I'm not interested in discussing Grand Theft Auto next week.
Me
Like
either.
that's
Yeah.
not. It's not something that I feel. I think it's an awesome game, but
I think it's all right.
I don't
Doesn't
think
really
I don't
need
think it has any shot at number one. But
Yeah.
I think it deserves to be in the top 10. And you
That's
can,
what's tough.
Why?
Yeah.
Articulate right now why.
I enjoyed it. Number one.
Yeah,
And,
that's
like-
that's the toughest part is that I had a
And
lot of fun with
the-
it.
had
The online is awesome. So if I don't know if we're counting that because like they don't really.
Sure,
but
why not?
Yeah.
But if we are counting that, then that on itself is a whole nother world of awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact like the first week sucked, but like they fixed all the hiccups. Like it's
The first week of online or the first
week of online.
Okay.
Well, there's 2 weeks that the game came out with just single player. They did that so that you could
No,
actually
I know.
play it.
And I mean
That's
the
not
first
what it
week of
means.
online. I really enjoyed the story mode. Yeah, it's kind of crass, but like it's GTA. It's
Yeah.
always been crass.
Sure.
And it's a very different story than 4. I personally liked sort of the bleaker sort of. It was more biting criticism of American culture in the 4th one, I thought. But this was sort of just like a rollicking good time, which is different but equally valid. And it just technically, I mean, I don't want to use the same argument that every other podcast has used, but it's a technically amazing piece of work, and it deserves to be on there.
Does it deserve
Yes.
to be on there
Yes.
just because it's a technical marvel? Or
Yes,
it's not
and
just that
but
it was
like,
technical
but I don't
marvel.
think it's not just because it's a technical marvel. The online is also super fun, and I really enjoyed the
single-
craziness of the single player.
I think in this,
Okay, hang on.
the conversations we've been having, the only thing that it lacks is a unique commentary, like
Well,
in the way that these are.
let me
like,
say this,
make
let me
you
say
think.
this.
deeper meaning.
Okay, this could be ending up. This could end up being a longer discussion, but I was going to get you to articulate why you say the online is fun. Because as I understand it, the online is just shoot people, like deathmatch, or race.
Again, this
or
is-
do that weird airplane
No.
mode that you described.
Absolutely not. Like that's
Tell
the
me.
that's
But
the
you don't-
events. The events, maybe you could boil down to that if you wanted to be really cynical and like nitpicky about it. There's a whole. You get the entire map of San Andreas.
Map's too big. Like, tell me, like, sell me on this. Sell me on this.
You get the entire open world to play with your friends and just fuck around and do whatever you want, which is not something you can do in other games.
I can do that in Just Cause 2 with the multiplayer mod. I can do that in
Yeah, but
previous
does
Grand
it?
Theft
But
Autos.
do you earn it towards anything? It's like taking the multiplayer from GTA 4 and making yourself a persistent
I
character.
can do that in World of Warcraft.
No, you can't. It's not the same
What-
thing. It's
What
not the
we're-
same thing
what
at
we're
all.
seeing here is Matt didn't like the online multiplayer.
Yeah,
Well, no,
Matt doesn't like GTA.
My opinion aside, I'm just trying to challenge you to tell me why you.
Well, I can't
like
sell
you're
it
saying-
on you
you're
if you
saying-
don't like it.
No.
But
I should maybe try to be less aggressive about it. You say it's fun. I want to know in your heart of heart why it's fun. Like, what is the?
there's so much variety to it. Like even just strictly as a chat lobby, I could just meet up with my friend who's now like in Toronto in med school, and we could just play a round of golf and talk for an hour if we wanted to.
So-
it's a means to. It just has so many different things that you can
This is a
do
better argument.
with your
Okay,
friends.
this is what I want to hear because
Yeah.
like what? Okay, go ahead. Finish your
That
thought.
well, like the entire, and if you want to, you can then gather with those friends and then go do some death matches until you get bored of that, earn some money, then go put that into your character that's persistent, buy whatever stupid things you want if you're into that, and it keeps track of all that. You can have your own apartment.
take your
Dylan
friends,
had
go
like
steal
went
a
to some
helicopter.
random dude had a strip party in his apartment, and like just random like
Now-
spontaneous fun that happens.
That
There's
is what it's
no-
about. I am very much against the idea of racing for racing's sake and deathmatch for deathmatch's sake. But like Ben is saying, the total tossed salad that you can get into of everything mixed together however you want it basically is what the game offers. I don't think you would go into it intentionally to have a couple rounds of deathmatch and then have that be it. I don't think anyone really plays that game
No,
for that reason.
No.
It's like we go do like we want to. We usually would go in, we dick around for a little bit, and like, okay, we go do survival for a couple times, see if we can beat it, and then, but while you're doing that, you're making money, getting experience, and then you collect all the guns, and then you can go fuck with people because you played survival, and it lets you get all of those guns that you're not high enough level to have, but until you reboot, you get them. So then, while you're in the main overworld, you still have all that equipment. People are placing bounties on people, and it's like, oh, if I go find this guy,
Bounty
I can
hunting is
it's
so much fun.
You like go up in a mountain and you're just like, I wonder if I can get that fucker from here. Bang, sniped him off. He's like, I don't know what the hell just happened. I
Or
just
my
died
favorite,
from a quarter mile
hop
away.
on my motorbike, drive by them, throw a sticky bomb.
He's a sticky bomb killing is so much fun. Like there's just so much there that you can't just. There's no. You can do the entire thing without ever going into mode if you want to.
Yeah.
You could just. If you started it early enough and you got their like $500,000 compensation package, you can just sit in your apartment
And watch TV.
One of the
did that.
TV modes is like spectator mode. You can just see everything that's happening in your map. So you can just sit in your apartment with your $500,000 and drop $10,000 bounties on random people and watch the chaos ensue
Yep.
as everybody swarms to that guy. He's like stuck in an alley and everybody's throwing bombs at him and shit. And then you just, put a bounty on this guy instead and watch them all turn and like fuck that guy up.
Yeah.
There's just so much you can do that you can't just say, I didn't like the story, so we're not putting it in here. There's way too much going on.
One of my favorite things to do is jump into the military base and steal a jet and see if I can shoot people with rockets because it's
Yeah.
hard as fuck.
Exactly.
So
I think that was a good pitch.
it is a good pitch, and you've done what I wanted. So while I will not argue for it to have any position on here, I will not argue for it to be removed from the list anymore. You've shown me, you've told me
Plus
why.
one Ben. Yeah.
You've told me why, and you've expressed rather articulately why you think it's a good game and why it's fun. There's a certain amount of bedlam and chaos that is intrinsic to the experience of Grand Theft Auto that is perfectly emulated on the online side of things, and it sounds like that to the right people that could be a lot of fun.
And also
So-
a great amount of variety in the online and in the
Sure.
single player too, if you just want to be single player.
Sure. I mean, for me, it's still just always a third-person shooting game, and you can only do so much with that, while staying true to the idea that it is a third-person shooting game. Like, it can't all of a sudden just turn into a side-scrolling shooting game. The only thing that
It could actually very easily.
Saints Row 4 is the only game that's ever done that.
It would
And
not
it's
surprise me
hilarious.
in the least if there was a mode somewhere, because they're so much fleshed out with the, like TV stations and everything. If you went up to an arcade machine and played a 2D side scroller, and if they made that multiplayer just because they fucking can,
Sure.
it would not surprise me.
That would be
at all.
awesome.
That
Like
would be
like
really cool.
arcades.
They made an arcade. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
All right, that would be neat. But
We should
it's not in the
email.
game.
We should.
Not yet.
We should email Rockstar about
Yeah, we
that.
should.
Yes, you never know.
All right. So why don't you lock GTA then?
He already did.
See, okay, good. What do we
So-
got left that's not locked? DMC,
Yeah, Devil May Cry, and then the 3 indie games.
Stanley Parable,
And
Gone Home.
I don't know where we
and
landed on Beyond.
I don't think that should be locked yet.
I don't know if it's circled or what. It's there.
Let's say it's up for debate still, just because the three of us can't speak to it.
I can't speak actually to any of the games that are
Any that are
currently
there?
not locked in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't played.
Unfortunately.
I haven't played Beyond yet, but
Let me make the argument for Devil May Cry to be locked in right now.
sure.
Devil May Cry is the culmination of however many years the Devil May Cry series has been ongoing. The culmination of the mechanics of that game. It finally reached a what I would call a perfect realization, in that the different weapons no longer feel clunky to switch to. The different mechanics do not feel clunky to employ. There is a beautiful kind of finger ballet that you're orchestrating on the controller to conduct the chaos that is in the game. And because of that, you end up with more flourishy looking visuals, more satisfying, streaks of combat, more interesting gameplay. And on the flip side, in terms of narrative prowess, giving it to Ninja Theory, finally got their name right this time. Ninja Theory, they tell a very beautiful, not simple, a little. It's simple in one way, but complex in others. But it's a simple story about the nature of the relationship between these two characters, Dante and Virgil. The relationship of brotherhood, what that means, familial ties, power, greed, lust, all that stuff. That works out very well. And then I think is all packaged together with very beautiful visuals. The most striking thing about that game is the way they design their worlds and how those reflect in actual mechanical gameplay. Nobody else has played this, right?
No, I beat it.
You beat it?
Yeah.
Okay, remember that level where you jump off the bridge and then you're in upside down land?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Visually and mechanically.
They did a lot of cool stuff with
There's
the world.
a lot of amazing stuff in that game visually that reflects in the gameplay. And I think it is just... And then there's those bosses towards the end that are just completely nuts, visually and
par for the course
contextually.
for Devil May Cry.
Well, yes and no. I mean, like, Devil May Cry 2 is kind of a flat note. It's a flat
We
note.
just pretend that
Diesel
didn't exist.
jeans
Yeah.
is all I remember from it.
Devil May Cry 2, I don't know what you're talking about.
Devil May Cry 3 is very good, but in terms of kind of like the visual design of it, it's kind of stuck in its old Gothic architecture,
very
kind
Gothic,
of
yeah.
like.
But there was lots of
roots.
variety to those bosses in that. Like,
Was there though? Like,
yes.
Like it was Virgil 3 times, and
Okay, well,
like
Virgil
then
3
a
times,
vampire guitar lady, and like
how
like
many times have you used the sentence "a vampire guitar lady"?
Well, I only say vampire guitar lady because her weapon is a guitar, but she doesn't
No.
employ that in any way. She's a vampire lady.
you take the guitar from her, but
Like-
well, there's that.
Like,
There
I'm not
was,
saying it's without. Like, it's a PS2 game, so there's only so much you can do
But
with,
like
in terms of visual
there's
fidelity.
like
but
the Griffin for I don't know what else you call him, but there's that
well,
guy.
it's Cerberus and all that.
Yeah, and there's the Cerberus and the Shadow Dante, and in the extended edition, there's the Jester guy.
But they're not.
and-
But they're not like the Raptor News kind of like thing.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
the
there are a
monster
couple,
lady,
there are a couple cool ones,
or-
there's a couple cool
or
ones
the
for sure.
Slurm lady or whatever she
Yeah,
was.
but I mean, there's cool ones in 4 too, though. Like everybody hates on 4. I love 4, but whatever.
4 is okay.
Yeah,
4's got some serious
4.
issues.
I didn't like the serious backpedal. They're just like, oh, we'll just make half the levels and you can do them twice.
We'll make
but,
half a game,
but
and you'll go back through it twice.
anyway,
I think it has such a strong identity.
Oh, I'm all for locking Devil May Cry.
Okay,
Like,
Sure.
I'm not arguing.
you're okay with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You guys are okay with
It
that?
sounds like it's an amalgamation of the years of work that were put into the other ones. So
Yeah. There's a couple of story things I didn't really like that they changed. It seems sort of arbitrary that they decided to change those.
Well, like what?
Like
If you don't want to ruin it for them, like
Or
just,
save it for next week.
It's not really
okay, save it for
yeah, we'll
next.
save it.
Can
for
it for next week?
Yeah, we're like what 2.5 hours now or something.
I don't know. So we might have to,
241.
we might even
Yeah.
need to split this. I feel like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Whatever. The people
Okay.
will listen.
I don't care what the rest of you say. I'm going to just put my statement on here, and then you guys can act what you want.
Okay.
I understand if you cut Beyond because the rest of you haven't played it, but I feel the same about Fire Emblem, and I'm willing to leave that on there if you're going to leave Beyond on there.
Yeah.
I think the Stanley Parable is not the most accessible game to the widest audience, in that as far as a game of the year, like you need to play this goes, it shouldn't be on there. It's a great thing, and everyone that has that background that will enjoy it should play it. But as far as a top 10 games that everyone needs to play, not on the list.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to be crazy here for a second. I will allow Stanley Parable to be dropped if we keep everything else here.
That's-
Yeah.
that makes
I
the-
have not played Beyond.
That's the only one we need to drop.
That
We
gives
only need
us
to drop
10.
one thing.
I think it's between Stanley Parable and Beyond Two Souls right now.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody wants to budge on Beyond, it better be a damn good game. All right, Ben, this better be a really good game, because the only reason I'm dropping Stanley Parable
Let's
is
at
because your
least-
argument is not
Do we
invalid.
have a nice?
that it is predicated on some knowledge
Yeah,
of video
it is.
games.
It's quite heavily based on
Like
you
if-
being a gamer.
Well, it's predicated on
Already.
some knowledge of video games. If Beyond Two Souls is not a rock solid fucking game, then it should be gone.
Is there at least a-
Fire Emblem better be good too. 'cause
Fire
I'm gonna
Emblem's
play
a
that.
rock solid game.
Okay. Is there at least a YouTube kind of like cohesive strand of Beyond's gameplay that you can watch if we don't play the game?
There might be. I don't know.
I guess that's still only one
But
possible
like,
path.
it's not really like BioShock where you can just watch like a 4-hour cinematic because the entire game is.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like
that's
you're
true.
interacting with it. I can see why it'd be difficult to watch
I mean,
Beyond
you
on
could,
the internet.
you
Sure.
could,
You
but
could,
like,
but
it's going to
it's
take
not-
you the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So, like,
So may as well play it.
and
So
if you're not attached to the character, you're not going to care, and it's going to make you hate it, and,
Yeah.
and it's not going to help my case any.
Okay, so how about we?
good. We're good there.
So we're gonna drop the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's still something that's worth checking out,
and this
but
better be rock solid.
yeah. I also don't. I don't know.
I have no confidence in it taking number one, but I think it should be on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also don't think there's much more to say about the Stanley Parable without just like
Yeah, just-
literally describing your experience with it. There's
And
not.
that just spoils it.
Yeah.
So.
So we're almost out of beer. We are left with our top 10. I fucking hope this is 10 and we didn't miscount.
Oh, Jesus.
we have
Let's put Rogue Legacy on there.
Shut up.
Devil May Cry, Bioshock Infinite, Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, Fire Emblem Awakening, The Last of Us, Beyond, Two Souls, Brothers, Tale of Two Sons. What the fuck? That's weird. Grand Theft Auto 5, The Swapper, and Gone Home. So,
That sounds like a great list of 10 games to play.
whether or
It
not
only took us 3 hours to
Whether or
find
not this is part 2 of our build up to the Grand Game of
it
the Year
one.
edition. Yeah, good listening, folks. Tune in next time for what will likely be a what's up.
Well, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with this list next week?
We are
Let's
going
review
to
it.
take a week, access the
Get
games that you
exposed to
haven't
these.
played yet. At least look up some kind of literature
Maybe.
about them. Maybe.
I'm probably not going to do Brothers because I really want to play it, but I'm just going to wait because
Yeah.
it's a week. I can't.
I was gonna
Okay,
say.
well, hold on.
Anyway.
Okay, we'll talk about this. After.
Get a hold of the games you can.
Oh well, if somebody has it and
yeah.
wants to like let me
We
play
will
it, but
we
I'm
will
not
talk
gonna buy it.
we'll talk in depth about each of these 10 titles next week. I know some of them have already had quite a bit said about them, but we'll reiterate whatever needs to be. Maybe break it down to a top 5, take a break, and then we'll hammer out whatever we think is number 1 for the year.
Yeah,
Okay?
sounds good. to
Sounds
me.
awesome. All right, we'll see you folks
you
next
then.
week.